Live from beautiful downtown Bastrop, it's time for the Stage Select, starring Julian Titus and Justin Ham.
What could this possibly be? Seems a lot like a podcast, wonder what specifically. Talking about video games. With your hosts, you're in good hands, not more of the same. Now we'll jump right in. So expect the unexpected and more. Now we'll get grooving. There ain't always gonna walk through the door. There just might be some strategy in this. Just having fun with a special guest. Time for Stage Select.
With special guest,
Westen from Big Nerd Gaming.
and here are your hosts, Julian Titus and Justin Ham.
Welcome, one and all, to the Stage Select. I'm Julian Titus.
And I'm Justin Ham. Hi. I'm here with an important question for our guest.
Ooh, sotto
Weston.
voce. I like it.
Yeah, well, I just took a drink, so I was recovering from that. It takes me a second sometimes. I have a very important question for our friend Weston here, who is joining us today. Hi, Weston.
Hey guys,
Um,
great to be back.
How you doing? It's good to have you back. All right, Weston, are you familiar with the song "Brick" by the Ben Folds Five?
No.
Okay, well, all right. Well, long story short, it is a sad song. It was a pretty decent sized hit back in, I want to say, the 90s. It was the 90s. Ben Folds 5 made it, kind of like the first anybody had really heard of them, at least in my mind anyway. The song is about I assume Ben Folds going to with his girlfriend the day after Christmas to get an abortion. Very sad song, especially when you know the context. Now, my question, my actual question here: do you think they should play that in the grocery store? Because that's where I heard it, and I was just kind of taken aback by that. And yeah.
Thought you were going to ask me what my views were on abortion for a sec.
No. You know,
Yeah. Let's go off the beaten path real quick. Yeah, I mean,
no, that's how I roll.
look, isn't that like how, like, I don't know, like, I feel like 15% of songs are understood for the completely wrong reasons half the time anyway. Nobody knows what anything means, so
That's
yeah,
probably
as long as
about
it sounds
right.
good. I mean, it could be saying some awful shit, but it's got to catch
I
your
mean,
beat. We're
well,
good.
it doesn't. If
No?
you're not really listening to the song, you know, it's just like a kind of sad, pretty song. You're like, all right, yeah,
it's a
you
little
know,
weird.
but
It's
like,
fun.
yeah,
Kind of an
yeah.
odd vibe.
I wanted to bring it to the attention of the like 20 something working the cash register of like, listen, do you know what this song's about? But like, I didn't. I refrained from doing it, but I was this close.
Yeah.
Close because I'm me. Anyway.
Y'all don't want to hear what I have to say. You just want to dance. It's
Yeah.
the same thing.
As someone who
About
used to work at a
right.
grocery store, I'm happy you didn't bring it up to the cashier because
Yeah.
that is. Look, man, I don't control the music. You know, it's just,
Mhm.
I just want to meet the person who does, though. You
Yeah.
know,
no. It was
I just want to know.
when I worked at a grocery store. I don't know, they had the same song, like an 8-hour shift. I would hear the same song.
Oh, yeah.
like 8 to 9 times, and then they
Yeah.
switched it, and it was like a little better music actually, but there was like some
Right.
weird stuff too. But it was just no one knows who controls it. I think they actually pay some company that like handles.
There's a
Yeah.
company that makes them.
Isn't
I'm
it the
pre-
Muzak company? Well,
It
I mean,
might
that is one
be.
of them, is Muzak.
Yeah, it's like that. Like, there's a company that just makes those playlists so that you can play them in your grocery store or wherever the fuck.
Some millennial
Like the
hipster.
first, like when I walked in, they were playing "Thank You" by Alanis Morissette, and I was like, yeah, sure, that's grocery store music now. Why not?
Mhm.
And then that song came on. I was like, and I just started laughing while I was. It was just like, does anybody know? Like, did they look into this at all? Like, it's just kind of, it's a lot.
I feel like if that's your job, you're gonna work one or two songs in that maybe shouldn't be on there. They're just like personal faves, like
That's probably about right.
yeah, like you gotta abuse your power just a little. Maybe not. You can't do it
If
too
you
much.
have the power over it at all, right?
Might as
like
well.
if it isn't just being piped in from some
Either that or they're
official source.
They just had it in their head that day, and they're just like, you know what? Why not? Nobody's gonna know. And they probably don't, or they don't know, and they're just like, I don't know. It's just a sad, pretty song. Why not put it in there?
Yeah, I can see that too.
Yeah, but yeah. So that was a thing that happened. I
didn't realize that his last name was Ben Folds. I thought that the band name was about a dude named Ben who just like really like laid out 5 dudes like in the ring one time, and like that's how the band name came about.
No, I'm pretty sure his name is Ben Folds.
Okay.
Like, yeah.
He didn't fold 5 people.
No, he did not fold 5 people, Julian. No.
Okay.
I've developed a new slang term for fighting, which is fun, just out of nowhere. As I was worked up, and I was like, I remembered a friend of mine who was about to fight someone, took his necklace off and wrapped it around his fist, and so I've developed the new slang term "wrapping chains" to talk about fighting people, and I was like, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. I like it.
30 years from now, it's
wrap
gonna be
chains
a
right now, motherfucker. That's what we'll do. It's good.
I love the fact that there's like this little thug like that lives inside of you that just comes out every now and then.
It comes out every now and then. Yeah, I've been around some shit. Let me tell you.
Oh man. Well, Westen, it's been a bit. Welcome back.
Yeah, I think it's been a little over 4 months. I was getting I mean, you guys have your hiatus / all the old episodes, and you
Yeah.
had your personal stuff going on, so I didn't take offense, but and I don't want your listeners to get too tired of me, but I've been eager to come back and talk games.
Oh yeah, no. I wanted to make sure that we got you on like sooner rather than so because I had planned on blocking out like this whole month. I wanted to fill it with guests, right? And I was like, I got to get Westen on. Part of it was like I need to make sure the listeners know that like everything's cool. Like or if there is any beef left over from Game of the Year, we squash that beef now.
I don't think there is any.
I didn't care. Like I'm used to that stuff.
Oh man, that was the funnest I've had in a long time.
It was fun.
That Game of the Year. It was fun.
I wasn't offended. A friend or two that listened to the episode was offended.
I believe it. Yeah, I could see it.
like it's fine. I'm like, dude, it's fine. It's just it's essentially a game. Like it's essentially
it is.
Yeah.
It is exactly that. It is.
Yeah,
there's a
that's
different
why
type of politicking.
We like that format.
Yes, that's what's fun about it.
So I've already been thinking about this year because it's ever present, but I want to be sure to have you on for the list again this year. I probably won't have Xavier on for the list because he was on the last 2. We'll probably like work him in somewhere else in the Game of the Year stuff. Because I want to shake it up. I don't want to have like the same panel every time. But now that you know how the game is played,
now Weston's a fixture. I feel. I feel like it's not a Game of the Year list unless he's on there. Like it's a whole thing.
It's
now.
like Survivor All Stars or something, right?
It really is. It really is.
Like now they've all played once. Not that I've watched, but I can assume how that goes.
Yeah. Basically.
Yeah. Well, and also just, now like what the format is, you understand that like there's a little bit of horse trading that goes in, there's a little bit of wheeling and dealing that you got to do, especially if you're trying to get something like moved further up the list, or trying to force something in that like nobody else is like really like
wants
bat
in
into
there,
or whatnot.
The funniest part about that experience to me though was I feel like I should have had an edge of sorts because I listened to you. I mean, like I can't say I listen to every minute of every show because I just don't have the time. So
it happens.
But I love the show. But I've listened to most of your takes. I make sure to like really hone in on the video game takes. So I generally hear you guys' takes on things. And then all of a sudden, like Justin's fighting for his fucking life. And I'm like, Justin, I don't even think I heard like this, like a quarter of this passion when you were talking about the game like a month ago. Like, what the fuck happened?
Yeah, I shorten things a lot when I'm on here.
I feel like you motherfuckers are playing the long game on this whole fucking podcast.
The normal episodes are when we are holding down our key.
Yeah.
And then Game of the Year is when we have to all go Super Saiyan and like just unleash.
It's that a little bit, and it's also now I've had months to think about everything. And I've sat there and gone over it in my head as to where these things are and how much I actually like them and how much I'm willing to fight for certain things, right? So that's where it comes from. It's like there's a lot of arguments internally before I go into that.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And you guys go about this differently than me because my ranks are updated all year long. Like it's right in front of me right now. But you guys, I know, take a more holistic approach. So that would also explain it.
It's very spiritual.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know what? A game of the year list is spiritual. Damn it.
It is. I agree.
Yeah, like last year and this year, which I had not done in previous years, but I have a running list of everything that I've touched. So that way I don't forget about it. But I don't really start like looking at it as far as like, okay, what here do I really care about until like we're rolling into Game of the Year.
Right.
And I'm really not even solidifying that list until after, because like, you know, Justin and I have the luxury of not having to unveil our top 10s until the following year when we're back from hiatus. Right. So that gives me a little bit more wiggle room. I was thinking about this actually this week, Justin. We definitely need to like really think about when we want to have that cutoff be, so that like we know from like this Game of the Year going forward that Game of the Year means from this time
I believe
in the
you said
previous
around
year.
Thanksgiving or whatever, and I think that might be the spot for me.
Yeah,
because you're upset about Indy, the way Indy ended up.
No, yeah.
I wish that I had been able to play more of it to fight a little harder for it for last year's. And, you know, since it was like in the contention, I'm not going to like nominate it for best game that didn't come out this year, just because like we did talk about it in the Game of the Year proceedings last year. But going forward, like there will be like an actual cutoff where it's like, okay, we're including the last little bit of the previous year and also everything up to when we start to record. So that way there's like it's still gonna be a full year that we're which I think, honestly, I think that's a little bit better than the way a lot of places do it. A lot of places just end up completely forgetting about anything that comes out after they start to do their Game of the Year proceedings, and that stuff just gets totally lost.
Yeah.
So they say they're going to remember, and they never do.
No.
Pepperidge Farm remembers, but no, Westen, you know, we're glad to have you back, and
absolutely.
What listeners should know, right, is that like because we did have a little powwow like after we stopped recording, you know, and I was like, hey, you okay, Westen? Like, you know, this like just want to make sure there's no salt. And Justin was like, man, that was like just like he said just now, like just
I had such a good time. Again, it is playing a game. It really is. Like it is. That's what it is for me. And I remember saying that at the time. I was just like, I'm having so much fun, you guys. I don't know if you are, but I'm having a blast.
I think you smoked a cigarette after that.
I did.
It was like you smoking a cigarette after sex.
I went outside, had a cigarette, came back up, and we were. I think it was in the middle of everything. I just want you guys to know I'm having the best time right now. I'm having so much fun.
It was fun. It's a different environment. It's a different way to do it. Like I've done, like I did just ranking my own with my friend Andres, and I did that, and it's like both formats are fun in their own way, but
right.
They both have value, but that one's definitely more interactive, I guess. You know, there's more back and forth, which is honestly some of the best podcast stuff in my opinion. So
that's it. That's why we like that format.
Yeah, and like, you know, again, if listeners don't know, like, you know, we definitely took it from like the old Giant Bomb format,
Giant Bomb,
and
to a T for the most part.
There's legendary battles in those old Giant Bomb Game of the Years where it's like, if you talk to a Giant Bomb fan about Saints Row 3 versus Skyrim for Game of the Year, or you bring up like Minerva's Den versus the Shadow Broker DLC for best DLC, everybody's like, oh shit, yeah, no, that was like insane. And you know, that's the type of stuff that I want to like build for the stage play, where it's like, oh man, I'm still salty about like 2026 when they did this.
Right.
We actually have a shit ton of stuff to get into. And Westen, normally I would start with our guest, but I have a couple things that I wanted to talk about because I don't want them to get lost in the shuffle. Because I grabbed some demos that I started in addition to. Actually, I'm going to write this down for myself because I don't want to forget that I finished South of Midnight, and I want to make sure that I talk about that.
Sure,
but that'll be later.
Good. I
grabbed a couple demos this week. One of which is a game that I think I'd seen a trailer just like randomly, and I was like, oh, that looks interesting. And then like I randomly saw someone on Blue Sky talking about the demo. I was like, oh, I should go check that out. And when I went to get the demo, I didn't even realize the game had come out. It's like that kind of under the radar.
Oh, okay.
And it is a game called Mandragora: Whispers of the Witch Tree.
Yeah, I've seen this on the Steam front page before.
I've seen some
I had to look it up when you had it written in the notes, and I was like, oh, this game. Okay, yeah.
Yes.
It seemed neat.
So this is one of those games that's kind of taking one of those like kitchen sink approaches to design, where it is a side-scrolling search action game with Souls-like elements to the combat, in the sense, you know, there's a premium on like rolling and parrying, and also it does the thing where when you rest, you get your healing items back and stuff like that. You have like a limited number of flasks.
Sure.
But then rolled into there is also kind of a Diablo element of loot and leveling your character. Like the skill tree is actually like kind of splits the difference between Diablo 3's simplicity and Path of Exile's complexity. It's kind of like a nice like sweet filling middle of the two. There's a lot of stuff on there, and there's a lot of places to put points, but you're not going to have that like reaction that you have whenever you like open up the tree on Path of Exile and you're like, oh shit, like I can't even parse what's going on the screen right now. It is 2D side scrolling, but the graphics are totally polygonal. It has a character creator, which I wasn't expecting. That's kind of neat. I mean, it's very basic, but you know, you're not going to be that zoomed in on your character anyway. Yeah. So think of like Diablo 4, and that's kind of what you're getting.
That's
here.
fine.
And it's really cool.
Okay.
It feels really good to play. It looks nice without looking like they, you know, broke the bank for the graphics budget. Like it feels like a very like properly modestly scoped game. I'm not familiar with the developer. I don't know if this is like one of their first games or what. It's a game that is on my radar to actually like pick up and play at some point. But it came out like I think like earlier in the month, like to like no fanfare. Like I didn't see anybody talking about it online. I didn't see any reviews pop up. Weston, we have a mutual friend, Andreas, that you talked about. He's like the only person that I've really seen that's like currently playing it that's been talking about it online. But it definitely is something that I think is worth people taking a look at. And like I said, there is a demo out there right now. I didn't play the completion of the demo because it's one of those things where I was like, oh no, I like this, like, you know, and now I'm aware of it. So that's kind of all I needed from the demo. And again, that game is called Mandragora: Whispers of the Witch Tree.
It does look like it's the first game from this studio, Primal Games Studio.
That's what I was looking at. 'Cause that's the only one that shows up on Steam. Then you go to their website.
Yeah, that's the only one.
And then it says there's a game called Around, a beautiful journey into the realm of forgotten memories.
Okay.
Maybe that's upcoming, but I don't know.
Maybe.
It's always hard to say.
Oh, this looks like a kind of stage select game that's around. But yeah, I think how far are you in, Julian? Because I was actually, now that I have a Steam Deck, I was actually really looking at that one, but it was $40 and the reviews were mixed, which was kind of surprising.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. No, I mean, I probably played the demo for about like 45 minutes to an hour. It was enough to hook me, and I was like, oh no, yeah, this is some solid stuff. Like this is definitely like on my list now to check out at some point in the year. But you know, as I've been saying, like I've finally finished my first 2025 release of the year like this week. Like it's been weird.
So where did you play this on, Julian?
Xbox.
Okay, so interesting to note, the reason why it's so mixed on Steam seems to be the user license stuff. There's some sort of like selling of personal info shit that you're giving away, and that's why people are really against it. There's some sort of like weird spyware shit that's going on apparently, and that's why the reviews are so mixed on it.
I just assume that every game is doing that to me at this point.
I know, I do too, but apparently people are especially upset about this one.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
I can see if you're playing it on PC that because you know it's going to have access to probably more sensitive shit than if you're playing it on Xbox. I think
that's what it is, but yeah. So interesting to know. I've never actually seen that come up for review reasons stuff.
Right.
But yeah, that's like the number one, like the first review that's negative is like, yeah, this and about the EULA or whatever. And I'm like, oh, okay.
Shouts out to the super anal gamers that actually take the time to like comb through those.
That? Yeah.
Look, don't underestimate people online's willingness to find something to get mad about. But,
Somebody's gonna do it.
Yes.
Somebody's gonna do
but
it.
yeah, everyone I know that has played it like seems to really enjoy it. I know I think a couple other people that have played it. So I didn't realize there's a demo though, so that's good to know. So that seems like the easiest way to jump in.
For sure. Yeah, definitely worth your time to check out. The other demo that I checked out was one, again, it's interesting, like still being on Twitter, but spending most of my time on Blue Sky because the gaming takes end up being very different as far as like what people are talking about. Although I think what ended up happening on Twitter is that most of the people gaming wise that I follow on there have pretty much completely left. So now my Twitter is mostly pro wrestling from the people that I still follow.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Because I used to be like really into the wrestling indie scene here, and then Hololive, and then a little bit of gaming there, like here and there. But I did see these people on Blue Sky playing the demo for the 100 line Last Defense Academy. Which, Justin, if that doesn't sound familiar, that is, I think we were watching like a Nintendo presentation. It was like just one of their random like directs. Where we were like, oh shit, there's a new game that looks like it's from the Danganronpa artist, and it's got like, but it looks like 13 Sentinels, and it's like, yeah, that's kind of what happened. This is not being developed by Spike Chunsoft, but I think from what I've understood, obviously the artist is here because the character designs are like, I mean, you spot them a mile away. But I think also like some of the people who used to work on the Danganronpa games must have left Spike and went off to do this other thing. So even though it is not related to the Danganronpa series in any way, shape, or form, they are winking so hard at you.
Oh yeah, the art style's like 1-to-1.
But the writing too.
Oh yeah.
To the point where like a character straight up says like, "Oh, it's a killing game, right? We're like, when do we start murdering each other?" And like the headmaster of the school is like, "What are you talking? What? No, what? No, you're here to save humanity."
Yeah.
And she's like, "Oh man, I really wanted to kill each other." And she won't let it go.
Right.
Actually, one of her like super moves says like it's killing time or something like that. Like she's super down with the murder, and she feels like she's like in the wrong game, and she's really miffed about it. It's really cool.
Okay.
And Justin, you specifically.
Yeah, I didn't even know this came out.
Yes. So, and it's on Switch and PC, which I'm not
Perfect.
liking this I'm not liking this thing of Switch being the lead for like certain games, like the lead platform, because I really would have preferred to play this on the PlayStation. Like this feels like a PlayStation game to me. Right. But I ended up downloading the demo when I saw that it was on Steam, and it's turned out to be like a really nice fit for a Steam Deck. Mm-hmm. But the basic premise, this is going to sound like I'm spoiling. This is not spoiling because they take care of this right away, which I really appreciate. You're playing, your typical Tokyo high school kid who, lives with his parents and has the childhood friend that comes over and, acts like she lives there. And, it's very tropey. But you as the player will notice right away that like the sky looks like it's a canopy and not like the actual sky. Okay. And you're like, they're like in a bunker or something. And like it's weird. And even in the early dialogue, you can tell that like nobody remembers like how long they've been there. Mm-hmm. And like there's been peace and like there's like no history of like what happened like before whatever event happened. It's just like a thing they deal with. But then right away monsters attack, and you're told by this weird mascot dude, hey, take this dagger and like stab it into your chest and you'll get powers and you can fight back. So you take the dagger and you stab it in your chest and you get powers and you fight back. Good. And the battles are full on strategy RPG, like turn-based strategy RPG. And it's a pretty solid little combat system. Nice. And then, once you leave, like, all the characters remark about like, oh shit, like that's the real sky. Mm. And basically the concept is that these students have been selected to join the Last Defense Academy and defend the academy for at least 100 days. And then they can be set free. But it's interesting because it's really playing with your preconceptions being a Danganronpa player. Okay. Where it's like, even the characters are like, oh, I don't trust that guy.
They really like to do that whoever writes the writer of that series like to do that with every single one of the Danganronpas, like just play off of what you already know.
And it's interesting to have the characters actually remarking about that, right? So, because obviously you as the player, it's like, oh, I don't trust this Monokuma looking guy. Like, you know, he's up to something. And the characters are also like, oh, this guy's up to something. I don't know why, but blah, blah, blah. You know, like, so they're definitely suspicious. But similar setup, right? So you know you have the free time during the day. You can go like hang out with people. You can go do practice fights in VR and stuff like that.
Okay.
But then every few days, the school gets attacked by the invaders.
Cool.
And then you go into a strategy RPG battle.
All right.
So far, my only complaint is that early on, there's no way to like heal your characters. And like you're fighting a lot of enemies at a time, and so they will swarm you and just like bam, bam, bam. And the cool thing is that they take all their turns simultaneously. So it's like and it makes the battles feel very snappy. So you'll take all the time in the world to like move your character just so, you know, have them attack. But then when the enemy wave happens, it's like, you know, these 18 guys just like kind of move in and then swarm around and then just like bam, 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 bam. You know, and they hit like, you know, just like wrap around your characters and hit them in quick succession. But dying is also kind of part of the game mechanic. So like, because when a character gets to like near death, they can unleash like a super move that will kill them, but take all the enemies, you know, around them with them. Because there actually is like a resurrection thing baked into the story of the game.
Sure.
It's really cool. So cool, in fact, that I ended up just straight up buying it. Once it was available on Steam, and I've put a decent chunk of time into it.
I added it to my Steam cart, and I'm going to buy it after this podcast. So
excellent.
Yeah. I think the week of gaming was so crazy. I didn't even realize this game existed.
That's what I mean. I'm like, man, there's sure so much that came out.
But I open up OpenCritic, and it's at an 87. I was like, whoa. Holy shit. Like, the fact that an 87 game dropped this week in OpenCritic and like nobody's talking about it just talks about how friggin' crazy this week was.
It's nuts. Yeah.
But yeah, wishlisted.
I will say, apparently it's got 100 endings, and one of the reviews, like little snippets that I saw, said that like they played it for 130 hours and they still wanted more because they did everything. I don't know that I can see myself playing this for over 100 hours, but you know, my plan is to play it to a satisfying conclusion and then, you know, see how I feel. Maybe it's a Unicorn Overlord situation. I'll have to wait and see. But it's just as irreverent and weird and horny as you've come to expect from Danganronpa.
Absolutely.
So it's, you know, if anybody has played those games and it was kind of missing that feel, fear not.
There it is.
Yeah, there you go.
What do you think if I haven't played those games?
I think if you haven't played them, but you're down for like a good visual novel with like a nice, like solid strategy RPG backing, I think you're still going to enjoy it. I think you'll miss out on some of the in jokes because, like I said, they really are trying to play with expectations of people who have gone through those games. But that was also those games, like, you know, by Danganronpa 3, like you're constantly gaslighting yourself into different scenarios.
It's wild. Yeah, they really knew how to fuck with you in those games. It was kind of perfect.
Yeah. To the point that like it would be like the best thing that this game could do is to not have any twist whatsoever. Like that would be the ultimate, oh man, you really got me this time. Once again, that's the 100-line Last Defense Academy. Again, there's a demo for Switch and PC out there. I'm sure it'll come to other consoles later, but like I was like, you know, this will be a nice thing to play on the Steam Deck. Here and there, and so that's kind of what I've been doing. So highly recommend it and worth checking out. But Westen, I'll turn it over to you. I know you've got like, however you want to start, like you've got some stuff that I know we all played, and then some stuff that maybe we haven't gotten to, and we'll just kind of go from there and see what shakes out.
I mean, I think I know what you guys at least touched. I don't know if it'd be easier for me to run through the stuff you guys haven't real quick, and then we get into the bad stuff. I don't know what you think would be better.
Sure, yeah, however you want to take it.
I'll just quickly go through stuff that you guys haven't played.
Okay.
So Well, you guys talked about this one last week, but I guess I'll touch on it. I wrote about it in my blog that came out today. Blueprints. Um,
Right.
I am about 25 runs deep into it.
Okay.
Maybe, I don't know how many hours, maybe 7 or 8. Um,
Yeah.
and it was really funny last week. I felt like um, Interstellar last week, listening to the podcast, and
We
Eric,
we we, we brought you to tears.
Eric's like kind of selling. I hear Justin kind of getting sold in the game, and I'm like, Justin, no, don't play it,
Okay.
Justin. You're not gonna like it. Yeah, it's
I would like to inform you that no, I did not play it.
okay.
So
Thank God.
you know.
Thank God.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, it's a game I respect, but I
Yeah.
get why people like it, and I know you guys said last week you're not puzzle people. I love puzzle games. Like I had Chance of Sinar in my top 10 in 2023. Rise of the Golden Idol, Case of the Golden Idol.
Right.
Entropy Center was in my top 10 a few years ago. So
Okay.
I like puzzle games.
Right.
I really don't like Blueprints. I really don't.
Yeah.
Like the whole roguelite plus puzzle game. It's like fascinating combination, right? Like
Right.
I just for me, it just doesn't work for me. I think the game is very frustrating in terms of those the RNG elements for the puzzle game just feel very stupid sometimes, right? Like
Mm.
That is the thing that I keep hearing about this game, and the thing that I think would ultimately turn me away is
Yeah.
that you're at the mercy of the game. Like, even if you know what you're doing, like, you may not be able to like get that room back
Yeah,
to
because you'll
finish.
just kind of
the
you'll
thing.
just kind of get screwed over. Yeah, that's what it kind of seems like from what I've watched. I've watched a good chunk of it. Actually, I was watching it today before because the game puts me to sleep. It's so like I was and I was watching it. And I was like, yeah, just parts of this just seem really frustrating. I'm kind of glad I just didn't pick this up. Yeah,
there's so many runs where I just feel like nothing gets accomplished. I think
yeah,
first off, I think if they leaned heavier into the roguelite elements, I might have liked it a little more.
Mm.
But the upgrades you get are pretty sparse, and like a lot of them aren't actually that helpful. Like,
Mhm.
I found 2 upgrade discs as I've played the game. So I have 2 rooms that are, and that's 2 out of 25 runs. Keep that in mind.
Right.
So not many. So I have so I have 2 different rooms that if I go into them, I get an extra bonus that I wouldn't have before. I mean, one of the rooms I upgraded, I think run 19 or something. I haven't seen the room since. Um,
Yeah.
you know,
Mhm.
so like there's a lot of stuff I've figured out. Like I know how to get into the antechamber. I've opened the door, which so you're trying the antechamber is kind of the room at the end. It's the
Yeah.
you don't know if that's the end of the game, but it seems like, that's obviously an important room to get to because it's the only one that's always there at the end. I've opened it several
Mm.
times. I've never gotten the combinations to go there. Um, and
Right.
if I got more upgrades, like I wouldn't run out of keys so many times or whatever. So there's just a lot of runs where I come away just like, man, I accomplished nothing. And even when I do accomplish something, it's like, oh, I start runs with 2 extra coins now. Like I almost never use coins because you need quite a few and you need a certain room to pop up in order to use them. Um,
Right.
Mhm.
I found my last run, I found this new room. It was the locker room. And I'm like, cool, new room. It's a locker room with tons of locked doors, right? I think there's like
Mm.
12 locked lockers in that room. I had like
Okay.
4 keys. So I opened like 2 doors. I didn't want to use all my keys because then you get screwed in other ways. And I didn't really find much. And I'm thinking to myself, I wonder if there's something important in one of these lockers, but I would need a run where I have a lot of steps and I happen to unlock a lot of keys. And I know, I think as I played, maybe you get that combo where you can get like tons of keys, but I haven't run into it yet. And that was my first time running into the locker room after 25 runs. What are the odds that all of that all works into place again? Like
Right.
it's stuff like that. And I don't want to spoil any puzzles, but I'll just say there's one puzzle I looked up and man, I was like, there's these various safes in the game, and that's the other frustrating thing too, right? Like you'll find puzzles, and when I play a puzzle game, if I'm stuck, I know let's think it through, let's figure it out.
Yeah.
I know the tools are here. I know the developers
Sure.
put the tools in front of me. So there's like various safes in the game that you can find, and I found one, and I was like, I don't think I have enough info for this, but do I? Maybe they have given me enough info. There is like a couple weird, like kind of cryptic things in this room. But I don't
Okay.
know, because sometimes you go into a completely different room and it actually is hints for another room, right? So
Right.
you
Yes.
never know if you have all the tools that you need for a puzzle. So like this one, I was like, I don't think I have the info, and I was like, you know what, fuck it, I'm gonna look it up, and I look it up, and it was I, I don't know if you're into the game. I hate to spoil stuff. Just don't listen to the next minute, because this puzzle is just so dumb and pissed me off. It so in this room there is like a list of book titles, and one of them I think is called The March of the Counts. And
Okay.
I think there's another hint somewhere that tells you that a lot of the safes or a lot of the puzzle solutions are dates, but I have not
Oh.
found that. So the way you're supposed to solve that, so all these book titles are crossed out except for March of the Counts. The
Okay.
the safe code is supposed to be '03 because March, third month, and then there's
Okay.
3 statues of counts. I don't know how you can tell that the statue's a count. Um, but yeah, so because of that, the safe code's 0303. And I was like,
Oh.
fuck this. This fucking like I it's like those kind of there's a couple like more standard puzzles. Like there's a parlor room that has kind of these logic puzzles I really enjoy every time I run into them. There's a couple other puzzles I thought were pretty good, but there's some just
Sure.
very obtuse, very annoying puzzles.
I
Yeah.
The
I also think it kind of doesn't work in the same kind of the same way you're talking about, where like the run based thing, running into the same puzzles over and over again would just start to get really annoying to me. Like I know that's kind of the thing, but like you play a puzzle game and there's a really well designed puzzle and then you finish it, you figure it out, and you're like, wow, that was really cool. But then running into it again, I've seen the billiards room thing like I don't know how many times, and I'm like, okay, once you figure that out, that's really cool. But now you have to keep doing it over and over again, and it's just like, okay,
And they get harder, right? Like every time you solve
it's
them.
just like, and that's I guess the point. But like at the same time, like there has to be a point where you're just like worn out from doing that. Like it just feels like exhausting. You know?
Yeah, and I guess to be clear, like Justin is like steadfast, like not a puzzle guy.
I don't.
I
Like
enjoy puzzles in certain contexts. Like I love me like a Resident Evil puzzle, or like stuff that you would find in like a survival horror game where there's other stuff going on.
there are puzzle games. There are just straight puzzle games where I'm like, okay, like if I'm sitting down and it's just the puzzle that I'm doing, I can kind of go with it sometimes, but it depends. It really heavily depends.
Yeah. Someone nominated The Witness for the Suffer Select, and I was like, see, now you're getting it, because that sounds like just
now
a
they're getting
miserable
it.
time.
Yeah, that sounds awful. Oh boy, yeah. Now we're getting somewhere.
Because like not only is it nothing but nonstop puzzles, but you're also having to like contend with Jonathan Blow, like enjoying the smell of his own farts the entire time.
Yeah.
So like that's definitely going on a vote at some
I
point
don't like
soon.
that.
Oh man.
Oh yeah, no.
I might actually listen to that.
Now we're
episode.
getting somewhere.
I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I respect like how bold the game is.
Mhm.
And like I will say drafting the rooms can be kind of addicting and fun. Like,
Right.
you're
That
like,
seems
oh,
neat. That's a really neat thing.
right. And it's like, like a lot of the dead end rooms have like useful items, right? So it's like,
Mhm.
do I cut off this pathway and get these useful items? Maybe they'll come back later, or I'm cutting off another pathway that could potentially get me where I need to go. Like there's that
Right.
kind of risk reward all the time, which is cool, but I mean it's very luck based too. Like there's certain strategies to it, but
Yeah.
there's only so much you can do. So I think if the game had like if I was getting upgrade this every other run, and if I was
Right.
like really unlocking like, oh, you're starting with tons of keys and whatever, like where you don't where it's like, okay, no matter what I come across, I can find the room combination that I want probably. I think I might like the game a little more. I mean I don't hate
Yeah.
it and I respect it,
Yeah.
but it is it's a game where I feel like even if you like the game, you're going to be mildly annoyed like half the time you play it.
I could see that. Yeah.
Well, let me ask you this, because what I keep seeing online is that because where like a lot of the like game of the year like contendership discourse seems to come from is the narrative. Have you come across anything narratively where you're like, oh shit, there's some stuff going on here that I want to find out?
Yeah, so that safe that I cheated on
Mhm.
had a letter, and that was by far like the most interesting. Like I was like, oh, there's more of the story than like it's kind of a weird concept anyway, right? So obviously there's more going on. Yeah, no, there was a letter in there, and I think a lot of the safes hold like some of those big story moments, and the safes
Got
are,
it.
in my opinion, some of the worst puzzles in the game. So, um,
Gotcha.
so
So
Yeah.
it's a real catch-22.
Yeah.
So I mean, I might just be cheating on the safes going forward, and just
There you
because
go.
all the other puzzles are mostly fine, like
Mm.
but as I said, there's a lot of stuff where it's just like you need the right combo. Like to figure one thing out, I needed a magnifying glass, and I had to zoom in on like this hidden text, and I was like, oh, that's how you solve the billiards puzzle. There's stuff like that. So
Julian jots down NTR Safe as a possible show title for this week.
NTR say,
yeah,
why not?
There's people still hyping it as game of the year. I honestly believe it'll lose steam. I don't think it'll have that much. I think it'll have like Dragon's Dogma 2 energy, where it just like slowly
right.
like people just kind of. I don't think they'll get low on it like that, but like I don't think they'll keep up that momentum personally.
Right.
No, that makes sense.
Well.
Other than that, 2 more. I'll be quick.
Okay.
Go
for it.
Take your time.
Take
Don't
your time.
feel
Yeah, we're
the
good.
need to rush.
Promise Mascot Agency. I just beat this right before we started. And
Promise Mascot Agency.
Okay, yeah. What the fuck is this? Because I've seen it quite a bit online, and all I see is a thumb.
Yeah, this game is pretty stage select coded. I mean, you know what's funny? I was thinking about this for the Game of the Year episode. We talked about Infinite. Well, I feel like we talked about Infinite Wealth less than any other game on that list. It was
okay.
Like, you know what I mean? Like it just like went so under the radar because we all knew it would be top 10, and then we got to top 10 and just sort of, oh yeah, we'll put it at 3. Like we talked about it a little bit, but not as much as you.
I mean, so that's kind of a byproduct of that particular format. Is that if you're a savvy listener, like you can kind of start to figure out what's going to go where based on how little things have been talked about, because those are already kind of known quantities. So like that's kind of also part of the fun where it's like, oh man, they really haven't talked about so and so. It's like, and if you're a fan of that, you're like, oh, this is going up high.
Yeah,
this is good. This is going up high.
So I say that because I honestly don't even know if you guys like enjoyed Dantoko Island or not, or if you guys like the big mini games in those games.
In Dondoku Island, I was not super high on. I played it for a little bit and then just kind of went, all right, I think I'm gonna skip this. Actually,
I got super into Sujimon battling.
Yeah.
So that's where a lot of my extra time went to. I'm really bad with stuff like Dondoku Islands just in general. Like I don't play like Animal Crossing or like Stardew Valley or you know, like games like that where you're doing like a lot of I'm terrible at that shit. So that's why I was like, this ain't for me.
So Promise Mascot Agency isn't like that game, but like it basically feels like if RGG was like crafting their next big mini game, and then they're like, wait, this is way too good. Like we need to we need to put it to the side and just do a standalone release. That's kind of what it feels like. And I believe the main voice actor is Kiryu's in Japanese version. So
okay.
So yeah, I mean, it's a game involving Yakuza politics and stuff. You play as a character who basically got screwed, and now he has to be sort of kicked out of his family. They pretend he's dead, but in reality, he's going to this town and he has to earn money to keep the family afloat by running a mascot agency. So he basically recruits mascots, sends them on jobs to make money. The mascots are fucking hilarious. Like they're the funniest design. Like you said, they're like your main buddy is Pinky, who looks like a thumb, or a pinky. He's got the fingernail. The bottom of him is red, like it's cut off. You know what I mean? Like it looks like a blood stain at the bottom of him. Like it's very. So it's got that kind of humor, and like Pinky, like for my ranks, like my best character of the year currently is Boro from Wanderstop. But number 2 is Pinky from Promise. That dude is legit funny, like a lot, or she is legit funny. Gameplay loop is like it's like a mascot. You're managing this mascot agency, so you send them on jobs. They make money. It's kind of automated for the most part. If they get into trouble, there's like a weird hard battler system. That's like
okay. That's what I'm looking at. I'm watching.
This is further and further sounding like Justin's shit.
I'm watching it as he's describing it. I'm like, okay, all right. I'm starting to see it now. It looks unhinged, but it's kind of interesting.
It's very weird. So it's also a mini open world game, and there is just like a bazillion dots on the screen, but they're all quite useful. Like you find cards that can upgrade for the card battler thing. Card battler thing's nothing to write home about, but it's it's fine. It serves
It's
its purpose.
fine. Yeah.
You go and recruit more mascots. There's tons of trash in the town, so you're just like constantly like running over trash. You're constantly running over the mayor's like political signs. Like, so there's just like a bazillion things to do as you're driving from one thing to another, and they all help you, which is good because
Yeah.
it's actually like, especially early on, it's kind of challenging. Like, you have nightly bills, and you have to send money to your family so that they don't die. And then meanwhile, you have to, pay your mascots and stuff. So, uh, a portion of each job. So, and you negotiate those terms when you recruit them. So there's a lot to manage. And I was like, fuck, like there's several times where I was like, shit, I need money. Like I'm running, close to my deadline here.
Yeah.
So like the open world stuff's pretty addictive just because there's just so much, but none of it's like super time consuming or annoying. There's a crane game that they put in later that's like, you don't really have to do all that much. It's kind of mediocre, but like the music is like total banger for it. So I actually kind of did it a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah, and then so it's kind of got like that classic like Yakuza story. It does, obviously without the production, like it made me realize how important the production values are for like a Dragon and all that, because like the big moments
Yeah.
aren't quite as climactic, but it's well executed. It's just like it's really weird. It's really different, but it was just like perfect Steam Deck game. Like I'd pop it in for like 30 minutes, and I was just have like on my work breaks, and it was a blast. Like just to kind of chip away at things.
I'm gonna have to check this out because
Yeah. I'm adding it to my cart.
I love like a lot of the Like a Dragon / Yakuza mini games. It's just that there's always that moment for me in any of those games where I'm like, I need this to end, and so I need to stop messing with this mini game.
Right.
Like there was definitely a point in Infinite Wealth where I was like, I cannot Sujimon battle anymore. I've been doing this too much. I need I got I think about like halfway through the actual Sujimon like gym battle story, and I was like, it's time to move things along. So,
Right.
But I always admire them, like because I've said for a long time, it's like they should really just break a lot of these out into like mobile games or whatever that are standalone, because like so a lot of these are just like perfect for that, and would probably do would probably do gangbusters, right? Like I played a shit ton of that within the last Yakuza game, but I also don't mind double dipping and just buying the mini game by itself on my iPad or whatever, and just for that little bit of that feel like outside of the main game.
I just looked and it took me 11 hours to beat. It was
nice,
reasonably
that's not too
length.
bad.
I do think the last hour and a half to 2 hours, like the mascot element ran its course. Mostly just because of the balancing. Like they give you like quite a few ways to like, you can hire subcontractors basically as you go, and hashtag chase passive income. So they're, but yeah, so they're they make you a fuck ton of money, like a lot of money. So it just throws out the like. By the end, I was like, I'm not. Why I don't even need to bother sending mascots on jobs anymore, because it's just I don't even need the money because I'm making so much from this other stuff. So then it was like the last hour of the game, I was literally just like fast traveling to the next story thing and then just letting the story play out. So like that was a little disappointing, because I think the tougher balancing was what made me like the game even more.
Gotcha.
But it's just it's the end. It's still I had a really good time with it. I thought it was really fun.
Cool.
Nice.
So, and I said I definitely wanted to bring that up here because I think it's.
I'm glad you did. I'm glad, because
Yes,
I
me too.
had not seen it before. So yeah.
Well, Weston, but before you continue, I hate to interrupt, but we do have breaking news.
Oh God.
As people know, longtime listeners of the Stage Select are aware, the Stage Select is your number one source for all of the hottest,
That's
most
true.
relative gaming news. It's
Not
one
at all
of the biggest
true.
things
Nope.
that we're about
It's a lie.
on this show. So real quick, breaking news. Street Fighter 2 Champion Edition is coming in June for the Sega Genesis, guys. That's... I'm surprised that they can cram it onto a Genesis cart. I'm sure it'll be fine, but you're probably going to have to deal with some pretty garbled audio and blues looking like purples. But hey, if all you got to contend with is a Sega Genesis, it's still one of the hottest games that you can get right now.
I don't know how they're gonna put all the buttons on it. If you only have 3-button controller, Julian. I mean, it'd be insane if they just put like one of the punches on start or whatever the fuck.
That's actually, it's funny you say that, Justin.
Yeah.
In the announcement, they said that is how it's going to play, is that you press the start button to toggle between punches and kicks.
Oh, that sounds awful. What a great idea.
Yeah, that's why you should have gone with a Super Nintendo. I feel bad for you if you didn't go that way. And then before we get out of here, I do also have a rumor that's related to this breaking news. So I thought I would kind of bundle these together in a 2-for-1 combo. The rumor for Street Fighter 3, guys, is that the entire cast from Street Fighter 2 will be back for Street Fighter 3, which is huge. Again, just big if true. But of course, this is just a rumor, so keep that in mind. But that is what the rumor mill is saying right now about the much anticipated release of Street Fighter 3 coming probably just so soon.
Probably,
to capitalize on the white hot popularity of Street Fighter 2. So
absolutely,
get excited, everybody. But that's going to do it for this little bit of news. I'll turn it back over to you, Westen.
Man, I can't believe that broke mid-pod.
It's crazy.
Yeah, time for that break.
I'm on top of it here.
Yeah, really
I
are.
really respect that you're able to just scroll, social media and
Yeah.
find all that. All right. Last game before we get into the games that we've all played. Julian's favorite guy, Joseph Ferris's Split Fiction. I beat
okay.
I beat that. Okay. Julian's he's gonna scoff when I say this. He's gonna be upset. He's gonna hate it. I'm just saying, as a listener and a fan, when you guys promoted the Cinemorons, I upped my subscription. I was like, all right, I'll contribute. May or may not listen, but I'll contribute. But I swear to God, if you guys stream this game and put a goal on it, I swear people would pay you money to play it, because it would be the funniest shit to watch you guys play this game. Because it's a great game. It is.
Okay.
I really enjoyed It Takes Two. I played that actually earlier this year in the slow time and had a blast with it.
Sure.
Split Fiction's better than It Takes Two.
It looks way better. It Takes Two getting all of the accolades that it did really rubbed me the wrong way, because that game just looked insufferable to me. Split Fiction does not look insufferable to me. I will fully cop to, when we get to Game of the Year, if people are pushing for this game, that a lot of my thing is just yo, I hate that dude. And I know that's not fair, but if you make it a point to put yourself out there like that, and I don't like the cut of your jib, then that's how the chips fall.
Cliff Blazinski, historically, I just don't like that guy.
Side note, minor story spoiler, but the story in the game is absolutely bad, so don't worry about it.
Okay, great.
One of the characters, I believe her dad. This is how much I paid attention, because it was so mediocre. I believe one of the characters' dad died. And she's
okay. I gathered that from something in the trailer, if I remember right. Yeah.
So she's really upset about it the whole game. But then Joseph Ferris had that clip that went viral where he's like, "Well, yeah, these characters are inspired by my daughter." So I'm like, "Motherfucker, you wrote a character to be really upset about your death?"
Oh, good.
I mean, if it's the one that was staring daggers at him at the Game Awards last year, there might be something to that.
It was
maybe he made her wish come true.
It was the less chippy character. So, but yeah. So right off the bat, from the second I started it, I could just tell the platforming felt way better. There's way more weight to it. It just feels good. And then It Takes Two did a lot of weird stuff, but it was still I guess somewhat confined by reality, sort of, not really, but a little bit. So just go in the science fiction fantasy thing. They can just do whatever the fuck they want, right? So it was there's just so much creativity, and so the opening 30 minutes. This is a bad comp for Julian, but and it's not like that, but it reminded me of Nier Automata, just in terms of the pacing of the 30 minutes, and just the constant perspective shifts, different gameplay dynamics, just boom, it was really cool. But then it settles in, but it's still chaotic. There's just one great set piece after another, fun boss fight, fun mechanic. And then just in the middle of it all, they have these side stories that are just totally off the wall. Better, often even better than anything in the main game. My current number one moment of the year, and it might be tough to top. I'm sure there's a more serious moment that'll top it, but it was from a side story, and it was so funny. Listeners may know I'm not fun. I don't laugh a lot. I don't like bits.
Yep.
Whatever. I laughed for like a minute straight, like because I just could not believe what happened, and it was just so funny. So
Mm.
that stuck with me. The intro stuck with me.
Wait, so when something like that happens to you, Weston, do you feel like the muscles around your mouth start to creak? Is it painful?
I think I feel shame. It's like can't believe I just laughed. That's embarrassing.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
But yeah, it's really and the last level just I can't really talk about it because I don't want to spoil anything. And that's I want to like I
That's
took all
fair.
these screenshots of this game and like I like to post that stuff on social media, like scenery, all that stuff. I didn't want to post any screenshots because it's just everything felt like a spoiler because just the game is just constantly going in all these different directions. Like it's
Right.
just the discovery of it. It's awesome. But yeah, I mean, just balls to the wall fun, start to finish, amazing pacing, like good mix of platforming, boss fights, puzzles that aren't too crazy. And I'll say this, like there's puzzles, whatever. You guys don't necessarily love puzzles, because it's co-op. The puzzles are really nice because like the mental labor gets like shared. Like sometimes my
Yeah,
right.
partner would solve a puzzle. I sometimes I didn't figure it out. My partner did. Sometimes I figured it out. Sometimes we kind of both figured out an element. So
Mm.
I think that gives the puzzles a nice pacing.
Yeah.
So and it's like it's hard, but it's forgiving because there's some
Okay.
pretty crazy sequences. But if one person stays alive, you're good, and you die, and you literally just mash Y, and you're back within 3-4 seconds. As long as both of you don't die, you're usually good. So
Right.
didn't really get super stuck at anything, even though there was some pretty intense sequences. So
That's good.
yeah, I mean, we'll see on some games I'm currently playing, but I do have it at my number one right now. It's my
Oh, okay.
it's my favorite game this year. Art direction, it's my number one right now. I don't think that'll hold, but it's actually really stunningly
Yeah.
good looking game.
That's good.
Yeah, story's terrible, absolutely terrible.
No, there
Which
you
is
go.
funny,
Yeah.
considering that it's called Split Fiction and it's about people writing
Right.
stories.
But like
Yes.
they're
So-
mediocre authors. It's kind of like Alan Wake. It's like isn't like sometimes Alan Wake's reading the shit and I'm like, man, this is terrible. But it's like, oh, is that the bit? Like he's a bad writer, like
I think by Alan Wake 2 that's supposed to be the bit.
Yeah.
I maintain that like the stuff that he writes in Alan Wake 1 I really like, but I also am kind of like easily susceptible to like super like intense noir type stuff. Listeners might have figured that out with certain employee that we have. But I can definitely see that.
Yeah.
Split Fiction is probably a game that I would 100% play if my friends that live in Colorado still lived here, because I would just invite my friend Shanna over and we would just play, because it feels like something that I want to play side by side with someone and not online.
Yeah, but the thing is, well, and so you might know, only one person has to buy it, right? But you see the other person's screen the whole time. So I think that kind of gives you some of that element, and actually seeing their screen is important in spots just for helping figure things out. But yeah, I mean, I think if you guys streamed it and set a goal for it, I swear people would pay to watch that, because I challenge, if anyone's interested, they should tell them in the Discord, because between you guys roasting the cutscenes, I would enjoy that. Julian occasionally shitting on Joseph Ferris would make me laugh, and then just like just you guys having fun with the game. Like I don't watch streamers ever. Just I don't have time, with everything I'm doing. But I would set aside some time for that. So that's my challenge. Just think about it. Just think about it. So
Okay.
that's all I got.
The issue is that Justin is a natural for streaming and I am not. No one needs to see me play a video game because it's just a bunch of me cussing at the screen.
That's great.
That's
That's
fair.
what I want. But yeah, that's all for the games that you guys haven't played.
I guess I could see that, but Weston, you did bring something up during the talk of Split Fiction. I think before we jump into the rest of the stuff, this is as good a place as any to acknowledge the elephant in the room that we've been building towards. Because I follow you on social media. I mean, Justin does too, but Justin's not on social media as much.
I
as
don't get
am.
on there very often. Yeah.
So Justin has not seen what I have seen. I just wanted to like kind of have a little moment to just have like a little powwow with you, Weston, because increasingly as I've been seeing your posts and your tweets, you're sounding more and more like just the most aggressive hard mode bro that I can think of.
It's not true.
And it just feels like you're going down a dark path that leads to like Andrew Tate guest appearances and talking about cryptocurrency and whatnot. So just want to make you aware. We don't have to like belabor the point or spend too much time on it. I just want to say, as a friend and as someone who very much enjoys podcasting with you and interacting with you online, that it's okay. It's okay to play on something that isn't hard difficulty. There's no shame in that.
I haven't beaten Elden Ring, so
there you go.
I'm not a hard mode bro just because of that. Boom.
That's fair.
That's my point.
Fair.
Like I at this point, I think it's a bit that I'm just not going to complete any Souls-like that I start, so that when I play hard on other games, I can just be like, well, I didn't do this, so
you know what? That's a good way out.
Yeah,
I like it.
I found my ways. But yeah, no, every time I do post about playing on hard, I definitely feel like I'm posting a shirtless selfie, but
Yeah.
Got to get your gratification somewhere. I get it.
We've taken to calling that pulling a Weston around these parts.
Yeah, I hear it. And every time in my car, I'm like, God damn it, Julian. And then once I park, or even on a stop sign, sometimes I'll be like, get on Discord. God damn it, Julian. Stop it.
Yeah.
I enjoy playing on hard. I do. And I default to hard a lot, but it's all balanced, right? Like the games we're going to talk about later, I started on hard and moved down to normal. So I was like, I don't know. I don't know about this one on hard. So
yeah.
Yeah. No, one of them I started on normal and I'm like, oh, I need to put this on baby mode. Like whatever they have below easy, if there is one, because holy fuck, man. Let's go ahead. So I will say, I'm glad that what I was worried would happen this week did not happen this week.
Okay.
Which is and so we'll talk about it too, because it also happened first. But the game that I was most looking forward to so far, the new IP that I was most looking forward to this year, Clair Obscure Expedition 33, was set to drop this week.
Yes.
And then Bethesda shadow dropped like the Oblivion remaster, literally like a day before, 2 days before.
2 days before, yeah.
And I was like, man, I really hope that this doesn't take all the oxygen out of the room for this new IP from a brand new developer that's doing something that looks like really interesting and cool. And people always complain about there not being enough interesting and cool stuff. Also, by the way, if you're one of those people, you're not paying attention.
Yeah.
And I was worried that Oblivion Remastered would take all the oxygen out of the room this week. That has not happened. No. Yeah. And I'm glad to see that. But I would like to talk about Oblivion. I'm calling it a remakester. I find it very interesting. We could do a whole hour on, the concept of remaster versus remake when it comes to video games. But I find it interesting now that developers are actually undermining their own work.
It's weird, right? Yeah.
Yeah. To me, if you remade the assets from scratch, and then, even if it's just like a portion of the assets from scratch, that's a remake to me.
It's a whole different engine. It's in Unreal 5 now. Like, yeah, that's a remake.
Well, but they also called the Metroid Prime remake a remaster, and then when I found out that like, oh no, they redid like everything.
Yeah,
I was like, well, that's a remake. Like, just because you didn't change the story or add additional mechanics and stuff like that, it's still a remake. Like that. Yeah. That's what The Last of Us Part 1 remake is. Right. Like they redid that whole thing from the ground up. They just kept all of the like motion cap and voice performances from the original. But if they're going to call it a remaster of their own volition, even though I think it's more than that, I'm calling it a remakester. So, it's like right there in the middle of remaster and remake.
So side note, I do think somehow they're using both engines, is what I thought I've heard. Like,
oh, really?
Possible?
You could, and when you play it, it definitely feels that way. Because from what and they kind of said this in the trailer thing, they said like the brains is like the old engine, but then the looks are Unreal.
I wouldn't doubt if there's a lot of like the same coding type stuff in there, right?
It's kind of weird. I don't know enough but I
don't either. But yeah, I it's probably roughly like the same guts in the inside of it, but like everything else is redone. Like they probably had to redo a lot of that stuff, but sure, you can take a lot of it from there, but they've reworked a lot of shit too. Like the leveling is different and reworked from the original game, and a lot of stuff is kind of fixed from that. So there's that element.
And before we get into like the nuts and bolts of what's different, let's kind of get a sense of like where we all are with like the original Oblivion, like as far as experience goes.
I like Oblivion. I played it when the Xbox 360 came out at my friend's house because I was too broke to afford one. And played the intro a lot of times because I would get to the end and then go, I don't really like this character. I think I'm going to start a different one. And so I did that. I don't know how many times I've gotten out of the little sewer grate and gone, I'm just not feeling this one. Let's do it again. That happened a lot, but I have played a decent amount of it. I won't say a lot, not near as much as like Skyrim, but a decent amount of Oblivion. There's definitely stuff in there where I was going through and I was like, oh yeah, like I remember getting out of the sewer and seeing like the lake and all that stuff. I always remember that view, and which they did a really good job with in this one, at least I thought. Yeah, other than that, like there are definitely spots where I'm like, yeah, I don't remember anywhere that I'm supposed to go. Like there's talk of the Thieves Guild in the first town I went to, and I was like, I don't remember where they're at now. Like it's been long enough to where I've forgotten so much about Oblivion. So
this might be a dumb question. Was Oblivion released on PC or?
Yes.
Okay.
I don't know if it was matched up with like the Xbox 360 one, but it is also on PC. Like I think I own let me look real quick. I'm pretty sure I own,
because it definitely didn't have the longevity in the mod scene that Skyrim has had.
No, it definitely didn't. But yeah, no, I own it. It's the Game of the Year edition. What year did this come out? This came out 2007. Yeah. So yeah.
Okay, so about a year after the 360.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, according to Steam. So yeah, who knows when it actually came out? But yeah, it did come out on PC.
Okay, Weston, how about you? Had you messed with Oblivion like before this?
Yeah, Xbox 360. I was actually thinking about this. I feel like it's one of the only games in my life I remember like booting it up the first time, because I think my hype was just because Morrowind was like a real almost life-changing game for me in terms of like it really opened me up to a lot of new stuff. So
I get you.
My hype was just through the roof. I don't like consider it an all-time or anything. I'm like Justin, like I really. It's the one game of all the Elder Scrolls games where I feel like I remember several individual quests. I don't think I remember any quests from Skyrim. I definitely don't from Morrowind anymore, but I remember several from Oblivion, so I'll give up that. But I definitely loved the game when it came out, but I haven't, I beat through all the quest lines and moved on, but I did really enjoy it.
Yeah. So for me, I didn't play Morrowind because I never owned an original Xbox. Well, I take that back. When I checked out a used Xbox at the store, like Morrowind was one of the games that I took home for that holiday weekend or whatever. Yeah. So I messed around with it for an hour or two. That was about it. But the preview coverage that I saw of Oblivion at the time sold me on an Xbox 360 because I was like, I need to experience this. They have a program that grows trees. Holy crap. Like, I was like so like into this game like before it came out. And I bought my 360 a few months after launch. Like I got it like at the beginning of 2006.
Sure.
I think right around the time that Oblivion was about to come out, because I didn't buy it with my Xbox 360. I think it was like a month or two after I bought my 360 that Oblivion came out. And I was super excited to play it. And then I played it for probably like a good like 20-ish hours, maybe. And I distinctly remember that I got to a point where I was like, oh, I can't beat these guys, because like that game was very infamous for the enemies would scale with you.
Yes.
And I remember getting chased by like some enemies into I was like, oh, I'll lose them in this building. And then when I left the building, like, oh no, they were still there.
Yeah.
So my first question to y'all who've played a decent amount of it, because I couldn't tell. I only played it for about a little under 3 hours.
Yeah.
and I couldn't really tell if this was the case or not. Did they get rid of the enemy level scaling? I know they changed the leveling, like just in general, like the way leveling works.
I don't know. I haven't played
Okay.
enough of it to know if I don't think they did. I think it's still there because that's kind of an Elder Scrolls thing, as far as I remember. Like they don't do like the whole like you walk into this part and then there's just there's like one instance in Oblivion that I can think of where there like you can walk into the wrong place and there'll be a hard hitting motherfucker in there, and that's about it. And that's Umbra. And I can't even, and I was trying to, it was funny, I was trying to think of where the hell they were. And I was like, oh man, I don't remember. It's been so long. I used to remember right where to go for Umbra because I was like, well, they got ebony armor. I'm getting that fucking ebony armor off them. But yeah, I can't remember where that is now. But I think everything still scales with you. And a lot of that is, like the old leveling system of Oblivion was very obtuse and weird. And you had to kind of really do it right or get fucked, basically, was what the problem was. They fixed it a little bit for the most part. There's like kind of it's not Skyrim's leveling. It's not, Oblivion's leveling. They've kind of met an in-between with it from what I've looked at. I haven't played the game near as much as I wanted to, for reasons I'll get into a little bit later, maybe. But, yeah, so it might be better, but I think the enemies still are scaling with you, as far as I know.
I just found an article that said they are.
Yeah,
that's
what I figured. It seems like such an Elder Scrolls thing for them to do, yeah.
But I think because they're saying because the leveling system's modified, it's maybe a little easier, though, as you level up, but other than that, it's the same.
Yeah.
That's what I figured.
I will say that even because I the way that I played it is I intended to like mainline it a little bit more this time than the first time that I played it, but I still, as I was going on the main path, I went ahead and stopped in like I think the 3 like little side dungeons that I came across as I was going to deliver the amulet to Joffrey.
Yeah.
So after completing those 3 little side dungeons, I have to ask my Elder Scrolls people here, is there ever like a good reason to do any of that shit? Because I felt like I had wasted my time 3 times in a row where I was just like, there wasn't anything here. Like I fought some dudes and I got like an item, but it wasn't like an item that was like it wasn't any good. It was just like same type of stuff that I've just found like as I'm wandering around. Like it didn't feel like I didn't get like a weapon out of it or like, anything like that. There wasn't like a story being told. Like it just felt like busy work.
It's mercenary economy, Julian. That's what we're talking about here. So you go in and you beat up all the dudes, right? And you take all their clothes off, and then you go sell all their clothes, and you make all the money, and then you buy the clothes that you really want. Because you've sold all the clothes already. Okay, see what I'm saying? And this is where I get addicted to this shit. Because I'm like, I'm gonna go in. I just sit there and just try to find the best. I forgot Oblivion had pants, which really made me laugh. I was like, oh right, there was pants in this one. I'm not used to that. It's been a while since I played a Elder Scrolls game with pants. Just separate pants, and that's Skyrim too. Like a lot of the time you go in there, a lot of the time the loot also levels with you a lot of the times.
Yeah.
So like especially in the early game, you'll get to the end, you're getting like an enchanted item sometimes, but all the loot is scaling with you. So if you're like level 1 or 2 and you're going into that dungeon, you're going to get a something that is right around what a level 1 or level 2 character is. So yeah, it doesn't feel worth it a lot of the time, which is, a bummer. But like I said, you go in and you beat the shit out of them and you steal all their clothes and then you sell those clothes and then you get the spells or whatever that you're going to do.
Right.
Yeah, this is the loop, and you either are in or out, and that's pretty much it.
Yeah. I will say that I was enjoying myself more than I expected to. And I could be like, I felt that like they had said something about improving the combat. I felt that like it didn't feel entirely shitty like I expect Bethesda combat to feel.
Yeah.
It still didn't feel great,
No, it's
but
not perfect.
it didn't feel the normal like, oh, I feel like I'm just like swiping at air and there's no like impact here. So that's kind of like just enough for me to like be able to kind of mesh with it. And yeah, like I was definitely like I was like, oh, yeah, what's over here? You know, let's go a little jaunt over here and whatnot. What are you guys thinking of it overall? Like just like what they've done to it?
Let's see. For me personally, but I played about 4 hours of it. Like I said, not near as much as I really wanted to. I'm digging it for the most part. I think certain parts of it I think are a little weird, and I'm not sure what exactly it is. The one thing for me that stood out is I think the animations are like kind of janky sometimes. Especially if you're looking at them in third person, which I know it's not like a third person game. It still plays kind of crappy in third person. And that's just Bethesda games, period. But
I tried it for a hot second. I was like, nope,
that's how that
this
works.
Still doesn't feel right.
You try it for a little bit, and then you go, no. Put this back. Unfortunately, we don't have the modding scene for this quite yet. You know. But like just looking at just the base game animations, I'm sitting there like, well, this is Unreal 5, like that's kind of known for. I'm like, yeah, you could have smoothed some of this stuff out a little bit more. Overall, I remember like I'm going through the intro, which I know that intro intimately. Like it's been, you know, however long it's been since that game came out, and I'm still like, oh yeah, I remember a lot of this shit. I remember like the exact place to stand to get out of the way when the guys are like, we're coming into the cell, you got to go over there, we're not coming. I'm like, no, I'm already there, just let's go, come on, let's go. So remembering all that, but at the same time not remembering it well enough. Like sometimes I'm sitting there like, I think you fight like this around this corner, and I'm like, oh no, that's down the line a little bit. This is a little, like I kept going, this is longer than I remember it being. But then again, I would run through that fucking thing because I just knew where all the shit was. So taking my time a little bit more was really entertaining because I just kept going like, man, a lot of the lighting in this shit looks really, really good. And I was quite impressed by that. It still has the Bethesda like zoom in on the face thing to do all the stuff, which, you know, you're either in or out on that, and so I'm kind of in between most of the time. But yeah, I didn't hate it. I think one thing that going back, and I think this was pretty true, and it's been so long since I played Oblivion, but like going around and talking to people is kind of funny because like it's just a Bethesda game thing where you kind of walk up to just random people and you're like, oh, I just don't have much to say here. There's just like, I can talk about the town, you know, that's about it. Maybe these people have to deal, but I don't know what it is.
It's definitely one of those things where if you're thinking about it in context and thinking about how revolutionary that felt in 2006, you can still be like, man, yeah, it's still kind of awesome that like
it's still cool.
There's all these conversations going on. But now, you know, with 20 years of iteration on that, it's like, oh, this feels all weird because like people are just like talking over each other and like these conversations don't really mesh up really well. It
feels new and dated at the same time. It's very strange, but I'm kind of like, I find it charming in a way sometimes too, as somebody who's you know played this game and you know knows it a little bit. But yeah, like I definitely am going to stream it tomorrow as of this recording or whatever. That's it's a plan I've had. I played it on Xbox Series X, and it ran fine on there, but at the same time like it would get a little framey here and there, and I was like, I would really like to see what this plays like on PC because it probably looks, you know, pretty good on there. But yeah, overall my thoughts are like, it's cool. I don't know how into it I'm going to get, and this was a big thing for me, is I burned myself out a little bit recently playing enough Skyrim to, you know, melt my computer, I guess. And so getting into Oblivion, I've been like, yeah, this is neat, but like, oh, I'm just kind of tired of this kind of game right now. So yeah, that's where I'm sort of landing on it. But streaming may revive me a little bit on that.
Sure.
Yeah.
Weston, how are you finding it so far?
Yeah, Justin's saying it's like it is such a peculiar mix of old and new. Like it's
Right.
really
Yeah.
unlike anything I've ever played in terms of like it is so gorgeous. Like I mean, yeah,
Mhm.
you can nitpick, but it is a beautiful game.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then you start playing, and you're like, oh, but it feels like a 2006 game. Like
It feels old.
yeah, and that's why I actually was really happy they went with the remastered thing because I went into this being like,
Sure.
there's no this is a remake. I can't believe they called this a remaster. Like, look at this. This is and they, we reworked this stuff, yeah. But then once I'm playing it, I'm like, yeah, and that it's not a bad thing necessarily. It's just like
Right.
I can set it to the side for now because I played like 3 hours and I was like, I got enough on my plate. And honestly, the way the game is structured makes it so a game hopper like me, it's probably not the best game to play that way because the map is terrible.
Mhm.
There's no quest givers highlighted, so you got to talk to everybody. So it's like a game where
Yeah.
I feel like
It's
you have
very
to
old.
be in that world
Right.
to really like get the most out of it. Because if I'm playing 3 different games and I jump back into it, it's like, oh fuck, where was the Mages Guild?
What
Again?
were you doing? Yeah,
so
absolutely.
so that was so. And Justin, you're a big sewer fan, so you might. So this probably
Love 'em.
didn't surprise you.
Big
but
sewer guy.
I, 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 so I friggin' go. I pick up the sword from like this one soldier because it's the strongest sword in the dungeon.
Okay.
And then I get to the end of the dungeon or the sewer, and he's like, "Oh, thanks for retrieving that sword. I'll take it back." And I'm
Yeah.
like, "What the fuck?" So I go out in the world, and I'm just got my
Yeah,
fists.
that happened to me.
And
It's
so I
to
put
be fair, it has always done that.
Yeah,
That
I
is-
figured.
it-
I
it-
fig-
Yeah,
That's-
that has always been a thing. If you retrieve her katana from the body, they'll go, "Hey, that's really cool that you got that." No.
And it's-
You're gonna give that back now.
the best part is that I think there's a normal katana in there too on that
I
body.
think
So
There
if you
might be.
I feel like I saw another
there-
sword.
Yeah, I believe it's a short sword, but
Yeah,
I can't
that's
remember.
what it was. Yeah,
It might be one of those things that varies.
It was definitely one of those. It was clear which one I wanted to use. Like it had better stats.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
They know you're gonna do
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
So I'm in the fucking world, bare fists. I put the game on hard, and I'm getting chased by like 3 mud crabs, and they're a bitch to take out. And I'm
Yeah.
like, oh man, this shit is 2006. And so that's not
Yeah.
a bad thing necessarily. Like
No.
I think there's a certain immersion that can come with like having to talk to everybody to find things. Like actually, like even playing Starfield, like there was a part of me like I would have preferred the map, but there was part of me that was like, oh, it's kind of cool that I have to like just figure out where shit is and just know. And as I
Right.
played that game, I did start to learn where things are, but I was
Mhm.
just playing that game, so I kind of came away thinking like, I'll pick it up at a slower time and I'll probably dive in a little more because from what I recall, I feel like Oblivion had the best quest design of any Elder Scrolls game.
Yeah, it's been a while. It's been a while for me, so I can't speak. It's probably better than Skyrim. Skyrim's quest stuff is a little bland a lot of the time. Yeah.
I think the
The
combat.
Bethesda stuff. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
I was
Wes.
just say, I think the combat they enhance the sound design a little, and that's kind of what they talked about in the trailer. So, like that
Yeah.
and the animations make it feel a little better, but it's still pretty awkward.
Yeah.
And my
Yeah, I
agree.
favorite part, this was like, what the fuck? Like, I set up my quick wheel, put some potions in there. I'm getting my ass beat once again. I'm on hard at that point. And sorry, Julian. And so
I just want you to be aware. Just,
so I'm like, fuck, I need to heal. So I open up my quick wheel to heal, and it doesn't slow down time or stop anything. So
No, it does not.
I'm getting
No.
my ass beat. I'm like, what the? Are you kidding me? So in order to heal mid combat, like in an effective way, you have to pause the game, navigate to. And I'm like, I cannot believe they kept it like that. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
all respect, I guess, but that's
Yeah,
ridiculous.
It's very of its time in that aspect. Absolutely, 100%.
So I could see myself jumping into it and getting immersed for a while, but I'm gonna wait till there's not much going on because I was like, yeah, it's cool.
I feel very similar to you on that. Where
Yeah.
I played it for the time that I did, and I was like, I could see getting lost in this again when I'm in the mood. But like right now, I don't know if I'm gonna sit here and play it. Like I wanna do a stream of it because there's some old bits that I'm like, I should bring that back. It'd be pretty funny for a stream or two. Unfortunately, I haven't tested it. I should look up if there used to be a glitch in the old Oblivion where you could duplicate items And one thing a friend of mine, so I figured that glitch out. I learned about it, off the internet, and was like, "Oh, check this out." And I showed a friend of mine that, and they were like, "Oh my god, this is great." And so what they do is they found different ways to try to break the game with it by finding the largest objects they possibly could and then spawning them all at once into just indoor places and seeing who could get to them by just walking up to NPCs, punching them, having them call the guards, spawning a shitload of cheese wheels, and then waiting to see if the guard could actually get up the steps to get to them. And that was the game. That's what they did for hours. And so I'm sure it's not. I'm sure they fixed it, but I would love if that little touch was in there where they're like, no, it's there if you know how to do it. That'd be fun. But yeah,
I found myself enjoying it quite a bit more than I expected to. I think it looks pretty fantastic. I do kind of miss, and this is one of those things where we've talked about with like Metal Gear Delta, where it's like, was this just a limitation of the hardware at the time that they went with those aesthetics? Because there was like this really nice, like kind of ethereal softness to everything in the original Oblivion that's no longer there. I did see someone modded the PC version to put like a more original version of the lighting in there, but that's not quite what I'm talking about. It's more of just like everything had kind of like this like glimmer to it almost. Sure. And again, that might have just been like they had to do it that way because otherwise it was just gonna like make the game run like shit or something, and now they're not restrained by that anymore. They didn't feel the need to do it, but it does kind of end up losing a little bit of that distinct feeling that the original game did, sort of the way that I think people who look at Metal Gear Delta footage and they're like, oh, why does that like not look as cool as Metal Gear Solid 3? It's because like, well, they probably had to do like a lot of these weird like filters and like fog effects and stuff because of the PlayStation 2 hardware. Yeah. And Kojima may not have actually wanted to do it that way. But, if you look at Metal Gear Solid like 1, 2, and 3, they all have sort of like this veneer to them that I think is more because of the hardware that they were beholden to than like an actual like this is how I wanted it to look type of thing. But we'll kind of never know. Like I said, the only evidence that I have that wouldn't have been his original choice is that once he didn't have to do that anymore, he didn't do it anymore.
That's very true.
So I do find it funny that Westen said something, and it's just I can't talk about Bethesda without just kind of making it, because like I'm pretty like ambivalent / like pretty down on most of like Bethesda's RPGs. And I always find it funny with the discourse of Bethesda RPGs, because it's always like, so what, how's the combat? Oh, the combat's shit. Okay, so you're playing it for the story, right? Well, no, the story's whatever. Like I don't care for the story. Oh, so like really memorable characters? No, no memorable characters. Like you're kind of by yourself, and like the NPCs are kind of whatever. Okay, so what is it then? Well, it's Bethesda, man. It's Bethesda, and it's like okay, sure.
That may be the discourse, but that's never the way I've seen it. I've always seen it as getting, like I talked about in the beginning, getting it that there's a loop to it. There is a loop of going out, getting as much shit as you can possibly carry, becoming over encumbered, then dropping the shit. You're like, okay, I don't need this, and this. This aren't worth carrying around. And then going back to town, selling all that shit, finding maybe a couple more things to do while you're out next time, and then doing it all over again. Stumbling upon random dumb bullshit and having that stuff happen to you. It's the writing isn't like super incredible. They do a good job. At least in a few spots, Bethesda does, where with like just random kind of environmental little weird storytelling stuff here and there. There's one quest I want to play again now in Oblivion. I don't know if I've ever played, but seeing stuff about it now makes me really curious. And I can't remember exactly what it's about, but I kind of know the whereabouts of it. But there's definitely little things here and there that are neat in there. But
Yeah.
like, yeah, it's never anything like that's gonna knock your socks off writing wise or anything. But there's little bits here and there. But it's mostly people getting addicted to that loop. You know, like there's something about like just being like, just out on my own doing this thing, and it's kind of the ultimate turn your brain off and swing sword and make numbers go up for the most part. That's really what it's all about, you know.
And exploration, I think, is pretty good. You know.
Yeah, the exploration. Yeah.
But yeah, the game. It's like you said, the game can surprise you. Like the way I actually forgot how the Dark Brotherhood quest line starts, and I won't talk about it. But I was like, that's pretty cool. Like it's actually a pretty neat idea. And said I that's the quest line I really remember from Oblivion. I was like, oh,
right.
Like it actually is a pretty good story arc and has some pretty interesting quests. So
my favorite bit of the Dark Brotherhood storyline in Oblivion and is that it just starts naturally. Like you can completely miss it unless you do a weird thing and then suddenly it pops up, you know. Like it's kind of like it doesn't really spell out that it's there or anything like that, but once it happens,
we've got to tell you about this one weird trick to get into the Dark Brotherhood.
It's crazy. It's probably, you can probably figure it out. But like if you were playing that game for the first time and didn't know what that stuff was, like because I don't think that faction wasn't in Morrowind, right? Like I don't remember much of Morrowind.
I
don't believe so either.
The factions in Morrowind weren't like quite as like, I feel like Oblivion's when it really like they were there, but they felt like more like afterthoughts until Oblivion.
Yeah. I remember there being like a fighters guild in Morrowind, like a pretty like these are the men with swords and shields and they battle things. That's basically it. But other than that, I don't remember. Yeah, I think I know there was a thieves guild because I remember getting mixed in with that in Morrowind. But that's kind of here or there. But yeah, Oblivion was the one where they were like, no, the Thieves Guild, and all of it's here. Some of it's marked, some of it isn't. Blah blah blah. But yeah, the Dark Brotherhood. I remember just accidentally stumbling upon it because we were all a bunch of people smoking pot in the same place and just doing shit to make ourselves laugh. So let's do this to this guy, and oops, we got away with it though. Oh, and then naturally stumble upon the quest, and that shit's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, Oblivion. It's Oblivion remastered. It's something.
Yeah, they did a good job with it.
Yeah,
I'm pretty impressed.
Really did.
The Stage Select is made possible through the support and funding of viewers like you. Here are our wonderful patrons.
Well, before we leap into the next thing, Justin, I think it's a good time for us to thank our wonderful patrons.
Okay, we can do that.
We appreciate all of our lovely patrons, but every week we like to thank the executive producer tier. And this week we have Addy XD.
We have Big Baker.
We have Bill Tucker of A Gamer Looks at 40.
We have Bookie.
We have Casey Curran.
I realized Julian has this alphabetized. We have David Portnov.
It usually is.
I feel like you say that every
I
week.
just now realized it.
I try to shake it up here and there, but most of the time it's just alphabetical, my friend.
Great. I love it. It's good. Never
We
change
have
it.
Dennis Robertson.
We have Dr. Delicious upgrade.
Yes, Dr. Delicious upgraded from associate to executive producer, and in the survey he did cite Cinemorons as the reason, which is really cool. Like my thing for Cinemorons was I wanted to have a show that was like for executive producer tier because I felt that like people were kind of paying extra for not really a lot of extra content necessarily. But I didn't expect it to like actually get people to upgrade to that tier. I was just like, oh, this will make like people who are already paying for the top tier like feel better about paying for the top tier. So it's been nice to see people upgrading for it. So
hopefully they like it.
Yes. We have Eric Peacock of the Soundtracker podcast.
We have Xrian.
We have Game Johnson of Retrofits.
We have Matt Jorgensen.
We have Philip PK Becker.
We have Raymond Crum.
We have 60 wants Westen to know we are here to support him.
There you go.
Appreciate it.
We have Stephen Lobo.
And last but not least, we have Xavier Kreger. So
Excellent.
thank you to everybody who is supporting the show at that tier. Next episode, I believe, we will be thanking everybody. Actually 2 weeks from now. But yeah, and then just quick reminder that you still have until 7:30 Central Time on May 2nd to get your votes in on the Patreon page for the next Suffer Select poll. Currently, Desert Bus is running away with it, but only 8 out of 22 people have voted, so it could go either way. If
you never know,
if you want to
some
influence
wild
that
swings
vote.
could happen.
Absolutely.
All right. Before we move on from Oblivion Remastered, I have to ask the panel on the George Thorogood scale of hold on,
bad to the bone.
Where do you think the game lands between those two options?
I'm gonna say bad to the bone.
Okay, bad to the bone. Bad to
Yeah.
the bone. There's only two options.
Yeah,
There's no in
this is
between.
tough. I've recently, for my review scale, I do half points as well, and I've actually thought to myself, man, maybe I should start working in 0.25s as well. And then you're giving me two options. That's pretty
two
hard,
options.
but,
That's it.
I guess I'll say a tepid bad to the bone.
Tepid. Okay, a tepid bad. Okay, there you go. Yeah.
Oh, here we go. I found the Suffer Select poll. I'm just gonna vote
Excellent.
for orange. I've never voted one of these, but I'm gonna vote for
There you
orange
go.
just to spice things up.
There you
Yeah.
go.
Sounds like
No.
something that the hard mode bro would do.
You got to do it.
Jesus Christ.
You got to do it. You got to throw a wrench in there. Yeah, it's fine. I will.
It's like when you have you're presented with choices in a video game, but you're just predisposed to certain choices, no matter how many times you've played it. I could go this direction, but no.
Yeah, I don't replay many games, but it's
Yeah.
very hard for me to play even those kind of games. I'm gonna do the different thing. I'll probably
Yeah.
never play it again, but Avowed was probably one of the few games where I'm like, actually, if I played that again, I'd probably make different choices just because it was interesting. There was interesting
Right.
choices, but I didn't feel emotionally invested in those choices. I just felt invested in them more as a intellectual exercise, I guess you could say.
Sure.
It's interesting. But I think
Yeah.
if I get emotionally attached to it, I don't want to make a different decision.
Right.
In Dragon Age, I gotta punch the guy. You know what I mean? I can't not punch the guy in a second. It's fun to punch the guy. So
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I get it. Well, gentlemen, breaking news.
No.
Holy shit! It's been a big night
It's
for
only been,
breaking news.
What, an hour?
dude,
Yeah, I mean, the news waits for no man.
in politics, this is called a Friday. This is where you're supposed to dump news that is not good news. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
Friday night right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the video game industry doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
it
Fair.
is what it is. I've got hot details here on the next big video game console that's on the way. The Marty.
Whoa.
The Marty.
This thing is a beast, y'all. It's got a 32-bit CPU, 3
Oh, boy.
megabytes of system ROM,
Oh shit.
and 2 megabytes of main RAM. It has a floppy drive and a CD-ROM drive,
Ooh.
which is just that's incredible
That's
for
the
a
future
console.
right there. Yeah.
Unfortunately, two caveats. At least for right now, it's only slated for a Japan release.
Oh.
And it's slated to be released for 98,000 yen or around $800. So might break the bank a little bit for all of that power.
Yeah. I mean, it's you're never gonna need another console though. So
That's what I was thinking. Yeah, those are some incredible specs.
no way anything's gonna come out that tops that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's it for the breaking news. I would like to thank our source for this, which is EGM issue 46 from May of 1993.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you.
I've been waiting to bring this bit back
Yeah.
because I backed the EGM Compendium book on Kickstarter.
Sure.
And one of the things that was a backer bonus for my tier was access to the digital compendium that they've been doing. So they scanned every EGM into an archive. And so I finally got access to that, and I was like, okay, it's on now, because like my EGMs are still like boxed up. So they're not really accessible. So I was like, I can't really like keep pulling from the same one issue that I've got like in my hand. But now I've got it all. So
you got it all. This is a problem, the whole thing.
Julian,
so next up, what's that?
I just like that as like your fighter nickname, Julian the Problem Titus. What do you think?
Not bad.
It's good. It's catchy enough.
Yeah,
I can see it. I think it works. I think you're right.
Justin definitely thinks so. Like anytime that I come up with a new bit, Justin's just like, "Oh God, oh fuck, oh no."
Well, that's the fun of it.
Yeah, it hasn't given me a complex whatsoever.
No, that's what's fun.
Yeah, no. One time I like tweeted, Julia, just totally like not viewing it as any attack at all. I was like, yeah, I love the show. I don't care about the bits. And then Julia's like, wait a second. What do you mean? What do you mean? That's all we got. I'm like, what are you talking? I just told you I like the show. He was like, no, it's not good enough.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm very self-conscious about the bits because
usually I'm acting a certain way towards Julian to sell it more. And then afterwards I'll be like, no, that was a good bit, Julian. It's fine. It's going good.
Attaboy. Give him a little attaboy at the end. Bring him back.
Yeah.
That's not like
it's going fine.
Kind of a gaslighter, I guess you are, but that's okay.
Yeah.
Well, the other big game this week, and we might have some other stuff to talk about. Well, we will have at least one other thing to talk about, and then we'll see where we go. But the big thing, as I mentioned earlier, was the release of Clair Obscure Expedition 33, or as I like to call it, Clair Obscure.
I didn't like that. I won't praise you on that. I did not like that. I don't know what that was. I'm not gonna have much of a stake in this one. I have not played it very much.
I haven't either. I didn't think I was gonna get to play it at all because I went to go see Star Wars Episode 3 20th anniversary last night.
I did the intro combat tutorial, got to the next part, and then some stuff happened and I didn't get any further than that. So unfortunately, I got a
little further than that. I basically got to Act 1, and then there is like a big thing that happens right at the beginning of Act 1. Then I stopped there because I haven't really had time to play it since.
Sure.
This is one of those weird situations, and I hate feeling like this.
Yeah.
Where I'm like, oh no, it's happening again. Everybody is losing their goddamn minds over this video game, and it was like such a bad first impression for me. But I want to hear from you guys first. Probably starting with Westen, because I know you've played. You had the day off, so actually really. I have one really important question. Do you ever get the ability to make a hard save, or are you just beholden to autosaves?
Oh man, I don't know. Honestly, because of quick resume, I don't think I've even tried to save. So I just I feel like you can, but I have no idea. Honestly.
Okay.
Interesting.
Side note, yeah, Julian DM'd me. We were talking about Expedition 33 for a sec, and I think you said like, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna be watching Episode 3." That's all you said, and I was like, "Star Wars?" Like I have no idea, but I didn't even want to ask. Because I was like, is it like something really obvious? And I'm going to feel like, oh, how do you not know about Episode 3 of whatever the fuck, And I'm like, oh, okay, it was Star Wars. I'm glad I was right.
Yeah, it was. This is a really like time warpy type of week where it was like, it's 2006. I'm watching Episode 3 and playing Oblivion.
Yeah.
It's 2025. I'm watching Episode 3 and playing Oblivion. I mean, technically, like, Oblivion wasn't exactly 20 years ago, but it's close enough. It just felt really weird. Side note, just real quick, I think I can confirm that I'm no longer a Star Wars fan. That movie did nothing for me, and if anything, because that was my favorite of the prequels. And it's actually, it used to be one of my like I would put that movie over. I think it was like for a long time it was like my second favorite Star Wars movie.
Wow,
it was like Return of the Jedi, Revenge of the Sith,
that's insane.
Empire, Star Wars. Man, no,
yeah,
no, man,
those were bad. Yeah.
I had forgotten how like just god awful the dialogue is.
Yeah.
But also, much like Iron Man 2, the timeline of that movie doesn't make any goddamn sense.
Yeah.
And it's like, wait, is this happening over days, weeks, or months? I can't tell.
Who could?
Yeah, yeah. So
Yeah.
Also, there's like I used to love the prequel lightsaber stuff.
Yeah.
And except for the final battle with Obi-Wan and Anakin in episode 3, like
Sure.
everything else in that movie feels playing old school Oblivion, where it's like there's like no weight to any of these strikes. Like they just feel like they're carving through these droids like air, like they're not even there, which obviously they weren't. But like
Right.
it looks like they're not there. And like you never feel like they're in any type of peril like at all. Like whatsoever. You know, like every time that I watch Sam Raimi's Spider-Man 2. No matter how many times I've seen it, I'm like, oh, he's not going to stop that train. He's not. He like
right.
I don't like. I know I've seen this before, but this time he's not going to stop that train. Like, there's no way. Like he's under like way too much strain because it makes you believe it, right? Where nothing in episode 3 makes you really believe that anything is happening. But anyway, that's neither here nor there.
But yeah, I mean,
but yeah, Weston, you've played the most of it, so let's kind of.
I took the day off, which I never do. I called my mom, asked her to watch my kid for a bit. And then my kid happened to wake me up at 4:30 in the morning, and I couldn't get back to sleep. And I was like, you know what? I'm gonna play it. So I played a lot of it actually. I played quite a bit because I was up at 4:30 and I dropped my kid off later. I feel like I'm still slightly suffering from the lack of sleep from that night, but I'm getting through. So the intro, I could see how you wouldn't be super into it yet, because honestly, I didn't even like the intro that much. I think it's a slow intro, and like they kind of awkwardly work combat into it a couple times. It's fine. I don't know, but yeah, once the game gets going, I'm into this shit. Like I am loving it.
Okay,
I'll talk combat first, I guess. But I the thing I like about combat is I feel like if you're a turn-based bro or if you're an action tryhard, like you can win fights either way. Like I feel like I could win at least on normal, even, and probably even more so on a lower difficulty. Like I feel like I could win fights without really dodging much if I like maybe grinded a little. Because like as you keep going, as you keep getting stuff, there is quite a bit of build flexibility with your guys. Like so right now, all 3 of my characters have burn type skills. And I've been able to, and then you get tons of passives. Like this game's all about getting passives, and like you kind of level them up so that everybody can use them, and then they cost points, whatever, so you can assign them. So it's like I have it so everybody has a better chance of getting critical attacks on a burned enemy, and almost all my guys can burn someone. And then like I have a skill where someone gets their AP, which is the the skill thing in this game. Back when they use or when they hit a burned enemy, like, and it doesn't have MP, which I'm a big fan of. It's the you attack to build it up, and you can use skills. So that means every battle you're doing everything you can. You don't have to hold back on anything. You're using the system to its fullest every battle. Each character is very unique. Like they all have their own little gimmick. So Gustav, the main character, he has an overcharge skill. If you get 10 attacks or parries or dodge, like different things, you build it up, and then you can do a super, it helps charge like a really powerful attack. So so with him, I'm trying to get like multi-attack attacks used, so I build that up quick. And like agility is probably better to use with him, so you can attack faster and build it up faster. The next character has magic. Every time you use magic, it like gives you an essence thing, and those essences can be used to power up other spells. So it's like you use the ice skill, you get like an ice essence, and then like weirdly the ice like essence powers up like a fire spell or something. I don't know.
Okay.
Tough to explain, but it's like that's their gimmick. The other person has like the third person you get has these stances, so you can change stances based off what attack you use. And like there's a stance that makes your next attack 200% damage, and there's so it's like everyone has like their own strategy to them, but then you can build like a cohesive team strategy. It's a really smart turn-based system. I mean, it has more flexibility, I feel like, than Metaphor in a lot of ways, but
interesting. Okay.
The downside is the menus kind of suck. So it's not as
Gotcha.
intuitive, maybe as metaphor is, or definitely not like as a Unicorn Overlord. Very complex game,
Right.
but super breezy menus to go through. Like, not the case here. I don't love trying to like go through the menus to figure things out, but
Sure.
once you do it, I love that element. And then the action element, I mean, it's by far the best action elements interspersed in a turn-based system that I've ever seen. Um,
Right.
the parry system, famously, they said it's inspired by Sekiro. Um, I'm not going to put it at that level or even like Rise of the Ronin, but it's
Hmm.
a very satisfying parry. Um,
Sure.
and and parry's difficult, like I said, I started on hard, Julian, and I turned it down, because like you're getting one shotted on expert, and like it takes like the enemies fuck with you, man. Like they jump at you, and then all of a sudden they just stop for like 2 seconds, and then they swing, and it's like fuck you, But
Yeah.
so it takes a second to figure out that timing. Although I've heard reviewers say you should focus on dodging first because dodging's not too hard, or well, it's hard
Right.
enough, but it's easier. There's a better window. Um,
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, you could literally just be terrible at the strategy elements, but if you're really friggin' good at the parry and you get that down, you can beat the game. Like when you first get in the world map, there's a cave and it says danger on it, and you go into this cave and this guy is one shotting you, right? But I know people that have, I think it took them 15, 20 minutes, but they've beaten this enemy just because they
Yeah.
worked on their parry and they could do it. So that's what's cool about this game to me is you can play it either way.
That's kind of neat. Yeah. That's
Yeah.
kind of a Dark Souls-ish, right? Like
Yeah.
where you can, stumble into this thing and yeah, this thing is way tougher than you should be fighting right now, but you can still do it if you can outskill it. That's kind of a neat
Yeah.
idea that they've incorporated kind of both things into that.
Yeah.
Because what I've always wanted for the revival of the turn-based RPG is for the get good bros to come in and really like ruin my day. It's interesting you say that, Westen, because I do like, obviously you're way further in it than me, so I can't comment much. I've only done a few battles, but I can see how if you're not good at the strategy part, but you're really good at the action part, you can succeed. It does not feel like you can go the other way around, though, and that's what I'm running into, where and I feel like a big thing for me is that the game is like really overproduced. Like, the menus are definitely trying to do like a Persona team type thing, but it's like it takes like Persona 5's menu design and like takes it to like 11 in a way that I don't think is necessarily a compliment. And then like just the animations, like I cannot. I feel like when I was trying to learn like drive impact on Street Fighter 6, where there's like everybody was like, just react, bro, and it's like I can't react, bro. Like I can't dodge anything, I can't parry anything, and so it's just like, oh, I'm just eating all of this damage. So that feels awful in a way where it's like, so my option is eat all of this damage and maybe eke out a win, or just set it to like a difficulty where now I'm just kind of like mashing the X button, like, an old Super Nintendo port of Final Fantasy where it's like, that's all you have to do because there's no real need to do anything else. Didn't spark joy in me, again, early on.
Yeah.
I did see someone in the Discord talking about block. Hopefully that's a thing that pops up after where I get to, because that hasn't been an option so far. Or they didn't tell me about block, which is a different problem. Like,
yeah.
I have not used a block, so, and I'm like 7-8 hours in, so
yeah, sounds like what a hard mode bro would do.
yeah, so it might be there. I don't know, but yeah, you know what's cool though is if you screw up the dodge, like I've had several times where I did the dodge too early, but then like it lets you do it again when you come back, so that's kind of nice because a couple times I get faked out. But yeah,
Yeah.
I mean you're early, like you're gonna get a third party member, and like as you explore, you're gonna get way more passives. Like you don't have the flexibility now. I mean, I'm not gonna say like, oh, I mean, with doing absolutely nothing, you probably would have to grind a little on top of that. I don't think a lot, but maybe a little, um, to maybe go get by without doing any parrying or dodging. But I mean, I feel like
Yeah.
you'll probably luck yourself into one or two, and that's all you need most of the time.
Yeah, I keep coming back to this tweet that a developer made, and I always think about it, and the tweet was, your parry, it was like, attention developers, your parry mechanic isn't as cool as you think it is. And like, my thing with parrying is that like, I feel that like, a really good like parry window for me is that I'm doing it about 50% of the time, like out the gate. And then with proficiency and playing the game more and more, I'm going to bump that up to maybe 70%, right? Like, because there has to be a risk and reward. It's no fun if you can just parry everything all the time, right? Because then it's like, well, why is this even here? You're just having me do an extra step to mitigate this damage or whatever. But here I'm doing like a parry like 7% of the time.
Yeah.
And like, that doesn't, like, there's a mime enemy that you can fight in the prologue.
He's hard.
And I parried him pretty easily. I have not been able to parry anything else that I've fought so far.
Everything I've read, and I might take this, because honestly, a lot of times my first time fighting an enemy, I don't get many parries off, but said I still win, and it's doing that more often as I got deeper in with a third character and more passives, because you will find tons.
Sure.
So that's where I think that, because I've had plenty of battles where I just bombed, especially playing someone the first time.
Yeah.
So the big advice that I read is like, don't worry about parrying off the bat, like dodge. So the dodge window is a lot better. It's a lot bigger.
Yeah, but I also can't dodge, so
Yeah,
there's that. And honestly, this is one of those things where, and I do feel that like this is an aging thing, and I feel myself slowing down with stuff like this, where it's like, I just want an option to open that window up just slightly, just a little bit. It doesn't have to be anything massive. I just want there are times where it's like I'm pressing the button after the attack has happened and I've already taken the damage because that's when it registered, right? And I know that is 100% an age thing. I remember, I'm going to talk about her later, but they're watching a Hololive girl play Doom 2016, and she was killing stuff before I could recognize that there had been an enemy in front of her. And I was like, well, because she's like 25 or whatever, like that makes a lot of sense. But to be fair, when I was 25, I didn't have those reflexes either, because I played RPGs. So like, it's a thing that was always this way, but it's worse now. And I can feel that it's worse now for me, as I'm getting older. And it's like, I remember that the only time that I've seen this, no, I think 2 games did it. Star Wars, the first EA Jedi game, I forget the name of those games, but the first one with
Force
that dude.
Unleashed?
No. The recent ones.
Recent. Jedi Outcast or whatever. No.
And whichever one came first.
Yeah.
It has an option to open the parry window up a little bit. And like, that's really cool. And then the Guardians of the Galaxy game had something like that. There was like a couple really good, like, in the accessibility features, like things that I changed to not only make the game like feel better for me, but also I turned it into like Mass Effect, because I made it to where you could like pause the game to issue commands and stuff like that. I was like, this feels like Mass Effect 1 combat now. This is great. But that's all I'm asking
Jedi
for.
Fallen Order is the one.
Thank you.
Yes, no problem.
I mean, give it time to get more passives and like really, I mean, you were.
Yeah, I realize I'm really early.
Yeah, you were a Unicorn Overlord Pro, so I have faith you're gonna build a good party, and I kind of figure that stuff out. And so maybe just focus more on dodging. That's what I've.
Yeah,
heard. I need to use dodge more personally too.
It's like I said, I've only played like seriously the first fight and didn't get further than that. Like I said, some stuff went down this week that kind of kept me from doing as much as I wanted to do. But yeah, I'm going to say that it's going to go either way for me, because timing stuff in RPGs, like turn-based wise, like even like the Mario RPG timing stuff always kind of like goes either way for me, where I'm just like, I really like this, or like, I'm just not that into this really. Cause like there's something about combining the action element, with the just like, I want to hit button and make man swing sword, and he will do it the same every time as I demand him to, and not have to worry about doing the other thing. So it's gonna live or die on this. Seems like a very interesting fusion of action and turn based, and I'm kind of curious how that's gonna go. It could go either way for me. So
I typically prefer this type of thing for your offensive abilities and not defensive. So like,
Sure.
you know, and I would really like to replay any of the Shadow Hearts games to see if I have an issue now, because I rocked the Judgment Wheel on like those Shadow Hearts games back in my 20s, where you know, I was constantly getting perfect, because the way the Judgment Ring works on Shadow Hearts is that it's a circle with like little pie chunks that as the indicator is going through the pie chunks, you hit the buttons as you cross those chunks to do like maximum damage. And there's a very small sliver at the end of each of the pie chunks that if you hit it in that window, you get a perfect. So like, you know, your main character's like main attack might have 3 hits to it. And I was getting like, you know, usually perfect, if not like 2 out of 3 of the perfects pretty much every time. And that felt really good. I wonder if now it'd be like, oh no, I'm trying for that and missing like more than I'm hitting, just because of reaction time.
Hard to say
these days. And they do that with offense here in Expedition 33 as well, but like, because of the way that like, and again, I feel it's just really like kind of overdone. The way the UI is, like, I'm not even really like seeing that shit. Like, so I'm having a lot of trouble like actually like, you know, getting the damage bonuses as well. Like it's kind of a problem for me.
The attack, the screen gets a little crowded. I've definitely had a few, like at least early on with an attack too, where it's like, oh shit, like I kind of missed when this bar started because there's just so much going on. But once you use it more, I think that gets a little better. But yeah, I mean, beyond the combat though, I mean, the game's beautiful, obviously. Like, art
it's very good
incredible.
looking. Yeah.
The music, you've probably gotten a taste of it.
The music is one thing that I immediately was like, ooh, this is pretty all right.
The music was the one thing that I was like, you know, locked in on immediately. Like everything else that happened in the time that I've played it so far, I'm like, oh, I'm not feeling this at all. But the music is like the star of the show for me so far.
I'm like 7 hours in. I think I've already encountered like 4 different battle themes where I was like, holy shit. Like, and it's like these totally different battle themes. Like, it's like most games don't have that many different battle themes in that amount of time, and they're all like great. Like,
I admittedly, I started it on Xbox because I just happened to have it on and seen that it was on Game Pass, and was like, oh, cool, yeah, why not? I'll download it real quick so I can try it. And then as I was playing it, I was like, this is another one I would like to play on my PC, just to do it. And then I was like, well, let's look at it and see. And then I was like, well, this version comes with the soundtrack. I was like, well, that's fucking sold, because I would really like that. Yeah,
just vibe into that. I mean, man, it's good stuff. My only, I don't even really consider it a weakness yet because I'm early, but I think the story isn't quite there yet. Like the hooks are great. Like the main hook is awesome, and like Julian said, there's a big moment early on that's pretty good too once you depart, but not much has like happened since. Like, it's just kind of accumulating.
That's interesting.
Members. But I said I'm like 7 hours in, but I've heard reviewers say like 8 or 9 hours in, like there's a moment and shit goes wild. So
interesting.
It's a slower start. Even like that first half an hour, it's like kind of cool, it's interesting, but it's a little slow. I thought, and maybe that's just because like the marketing is like really explained the hook so well that I didn't need to learn it. So it was just kind of like I already know, like I know what's going on, you know. So it was kind of a little slow to start.
I really liked that it gives you like time, and this actually kind of reminds me of like Chrono Trigger, where it's kind of like the intro is what you want to put into it. So like if you want to just like get to, you know, let's get this rig rolling, you can absolutely do that. But you can also just kind of like sit there and luxuriate in what's going on, and, you know, talk to everybody, and there's little things that you can do and little events that happen and stuff like that. I appreciate that. I guess I'll talk about, I think the setup is very cool, and you know, if people don't know what this game is, or had not seen like the original trailer or anything, it's a game where something happened. I think it's really cool that like they, you know, your characters are aware of what happened. You, the player, do not, but the game is not really interested in doing a lot of work to like exposition dump on you. They're like, you'll figure it out as you go.
Yeah.
And I appreciate that.
I like that too.
Yeah. The main thing you need to know is that at some point, this giantess, like off, they're often, from where your city is, Lumiere, like she's massive because you can see her from, like hundreds of miles away. But there's a tree near her, and every year she paints a new number on the tree, and everybody who was who is that age disappears, like in Avengers Endgame or in Avengers Infinity War, where it's just like they just blink out of existence.
Right.
It's called the Gommage, which at this point I have to say, Omelette du Gommage. That's for my Dexter's Lab fans out there.
I feel like I remember that, but yeah.
The Omelette du Fromage.
Yeah, yeah.
It's a really cool concept, right? Because like there's like a built-in like nihilism to some of the characters, right? Because we're now Expedition 33 is about to happen, so we're getting to like a point where it's like, shit, if we can't stop this paintress, like eventually people are going to be too young to even be able to attempt an expedition. Right. This has been going on for 67 years. Like basically originally like everybody who was like the age of 100 disappeared. So probably like maybe one person vanished and nobody noticed.
Right.
Right. And it probably took a few years. Well, I take that back because they had an expedition go out right away. That's a weird story point because you would think that it would probably take them a few years to understand what's going on.
Yeah.
Right? But maybe they've got an explanation for that later. So I think it's a very cool premise. Yeah. Right. And for someone like me who actually is very like doom and gloom about the state of our world, it's like, oh yeah, no, I can get with this like baked in nihilism that a lot of the side characters have and stuff like that, including the main character's love interest that her time is up at the beginning of this game. So I'll kind of go through like my impression, and this is going to sound like really nitpicky, but it's like the devil's in the details, right? So I do think the game is gorgeous. I think, like Westen said, the art direction is top notch. Yeah. Music, great. You start off talking to this character that you realize is kind of like your ward / little sister. Is kind of the relationship, and she's like, oh well, you need to go find Sophie before it's too late, so let's go find her. And I'm like, okay, cool. And then I turn the corner and she's gone. Yeah, like she's like the Flash in this whole segment, but she's still talking to you like she's right next to you. And I'm like, this I don't like this. This feels real dumb. And like every moment, right? Like she's, well, come on, let's go. And I'm like, I'm coming. And then she's again, just like 100 feet ahead of me, but talking to me like I'm right next to her. And I'm like, I really don't like this. Like this feels bad. And then like, I don't know how you guys feel about this, but I feel that like the dialogue is kind of bad, at least so far. Like it feels very like awkward. I don't know like how to put my finger on it. It feels like it'll cut back to my main character just for him to say like a word, where I'm like, maybe you didn't need to cut back to me to do that. Like maybe you could have just had him say it like off camera. I also think the main character so far is like just the blandest bowl of vanilla pudding that I can think of. Like there's so many characters you get introduced to in the first like half hour of the game that I'm like, you've got so much more going on about you. Why can't I be you?
Yeah. He reminds me of Robert Pattinson for some reason. I don't know why.
That's the other thing. Like, I hope they got his permission because it's straight up Robert Pattinson's fucking face.
It feels like, yeah, it really does. I kept looking at him. I was like, this guy just looks like Robert Pattinson. It's kind of uncanny. It's wild.
Yeah. I don't mind the writing.
I was going to say, I don't have the dialogue thing, Julian. I'm very, very early, and everything I was listening to dialogue wise, I was like, no, this is for the most part how like people would talk, I guess. As far as the running further away, like I actually from that learned what the sprint button was. So kudos to them, because I was like, oh, there has to be a way to run faster because that character is way up there. And then I was like, oh, right trigger, got it. Okay, now I'm rolling. And then actually holding the right trigger, like I was pretty much right next to them the entire time. So yeah. But yeah, I don't have I'm very, very early. You've actually played more than me. So, but like I didn't have so much of that. I was pretty interested in what was happening for the most part, but maybe as I go further, maybe it gets a little more awkward. I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't think the main character, I do think I do agree with Julian that he's like the least interesting character so far.
Oh, I could understand
he
that. Yeah,
has,
for sure.
and he has some, and it is interesting, right? So at the start of the game, like one of the Gommages is happening, and there's almost no grief. And I thought that was interesting. I think that's maybe by design, but everyone just kind of moves on right away, which.
It's because you really get the sense that this has happened so many times, right?
Yeah.
Like everybody's just kind of numb to it.
So it was like kind of wild, like to watch it and be like, whoa, like that. It was interesting, but overall, like, so he doesn't show much emotion during that, but then you're like, oh, he doesn't really show much emotion anywhere. And I feel like the voice acting performance is Charlie Cox. So far,
yes,
I feel like it's a little sleepy. Like I'm just not.
I could see that. Yeah,
I like all the other, like I think her name is Kirsty Divers or something, but she plays Lune. I think she's great. Jennifer English plays
I was gonna say Shadowheart's in there somewhere.
She's great so far. His characters, none of the characters have been like, oh man, I love this character. Like like Rebirth. Like that's part of why I love the characters in that game. Like they're memorable.
Sure.
They have depth. Like there's depth to these characters, but there's just nothing that like, this is why I like you. Not yet.
Right.
Now it's early, and a friend of mine was like, well, that Charlie's performance, like it's a little quiet, but that might make it mean more if something happens later that brings something out. Right now, I don't know if that's going to happen.
We'll see.
We'll see.
Hard to say.
But I mean,
I did find it like really interesting that like they went with like an all-star like voice actor cast for most of the characters, and then and also this actor, like this like screen actor, like just for like name recognition. It's like that feels weird, and he feels out of place, like especially if like I haven't gotten there yet obviously, but it's like you're gonna put like this dude who doesn't voice act next to Ben fucking Starr. Okay, sure, let's see how that goes for you.
and I still haven't even gotten to Ben Starr. I'm 7 hours in.
Yeah,
I actually was like, is the main character Ben Starr? Because like I assume Ben Starr would be the lead character because he's Ben fucking Starr, so I was like, it doesn't sound like Ben Starr, maybe change his voice. And I'm like, oh, it's kind of weird that I don't really like this performance from him though. And then I'm like, okay, it's not him, thank God. But
different guy.
But yeah, I mean that's I'm waiting for the story to pick up. But man, I don't know. To me, it's almost all clicking so far. Like I said, once you get deeper in, I think the combat. I said there's more strategy. You get more characters, so that part's better. And just I'm just waiting for the big moment to really pull me into the story. Oh, the world map's cool.
Right,
world map's cool as hell. By the way.
I'm very excited that it's got a legit world map.
That's awesome.
That's something that's been sorely missing from 3D RPGs for
I agree.
Over 20 years at this point.
Yeah, it's cool.
I wish there was a map when you were exploring like dungeons and such. Because to me that like people are always like, oh well, the developer said this. It's an expedition and it increases the immersion. It's like, okay, but I actually explore less when there's no map because like.
I can see that. Yeah.
We talked about 1,000 times resist, right? Like I stopped like exploring in that game because and talking to people because it's like, okay, I found the objective. I'm fucking staying here. Like, fuck this. Like I'm done. Right. So
get it. Yep.
Yeah. And that's how I kind of like, I want to explore because there's a lot of good stuff to find and I'm doing it when I can. But if I find, if it's kind of a windy or big open area and I find the right spot to go, I'm like, I guess I'll just continue because and I don't know why they implemented platforming into this game. That was a questionable call, but a couple.
Oh yeah, okay.
It's not like
deep sigh.
It's not. It's weird. Like none of the platforming is that bad, but they actually like for some of the exploration, like finding some of those like hidden items. There's been a couple times where it's like you actually do have to kind of jump from platform to platform. Doesn't feel great.
Is it the kind of scenario where if you fuck it up, is there a fail state for it if you fuck it up, or is it just like, no, we just warp you back to the beginning and you do it over kind of thing?
Yeah, I don't think any platformer I've done it. It's just like where you just fall into like it doesn't let you platform everywhere, I don't think.
Okay.
So like when I jump, like there's like these little platforms, and it's like, oh, I can jump from platform to platform when I see the item up there.
Sure.
And if I fell, I would just restart. But so nothing
Okay.
crazy. And then there's like, the
Nothing crazy. All right, that's
grappling
fine.
stuff. It's like automatic pretty much. So
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, so there's just small things with like the menu organization, and we'll see on, it's just all nitpicks to me though. Like I feel like the core stuff is so good that I feel strongly that this will probably be, it has a really good chance to be my game of the year, but we'll see.
Sure, we'll see. Absolutely.
Yeah, it there was just like a lot of stuff. And I realize it's nitpicky, and I realize that I'm early, but like seeing so many people being like, "Oh man, like I'm like 5 minutes into this game and I'm so in," and I'm like, I'm like out. I'm out like right now. Like, even like up to, I played it a little bit on my lunch break. That's where I got to like the big Act 1 thing, and I was like, huh, okay. We'll see how this goes. Like, it is the thing that I plan on, sinking more time into, like, because I've been waiting for it, and I definitely like kind of want to see where it's going. I've been real bad about not finishing stuff so far this year, so I'm hoping that this one like kind of ends up propelling me through it, and because I mean, Westen is a big game hopper. I don't like to do that. I like to have like kind of 2 games open max if I'm intending on finishing them, where now I've got like 7 that are open, where it's just like I've kind of been dabbling in them, and I also, just for the podcast, like I don't like like only having these are my thoughts on like the very beginning of the game, and then I don't have anything else to say about it at all. Like I don't like that feeling, so I definitely want to get deeper into these games. But yeah, first impression for me was not a favorable one, other than that that music fucking slaps.
It just gets better. Like I said, I'm stunned by how many times I've already encountered a new battle theme, and
that's awesome.
Great. Like that, it's great every time.
Yeah. And it's amazing because this is a first time developer with a brand new IP, and apparently also the composer. This is their first video game soundtrack,
Wow.
so it's like kind of amazing to see like this type of polish, and and also I've heard interviews with the director saying that they wanted to make a game that feels like a AAA RPG, but not on a AAA budget, and the price also reflects that. It's like a $50 game, where it's like, I think y'all could have gotten away with charging $70 for this myself, but it's already sold like 500,000 copies like in the first day, apparently
doing really good, it seems.
And that's as a Game Pass game. Like,
exactly. So that's on top of like the fact that like there's a lot of people out there who just got to download this game as part of their membership, right? So if it wasn't on Game Pass, who knows what those numbers might have been. So very, very cool. Like it's one of those few like success stories that you hear in the industry these days. So I as much as I might be down on the game right now, like I'm really glad to see it succeeding, and like people have been like over the moon for it, in the way that people were over the moon for Metaphor last year. My thing is just like, I really hate that feeling of being like, I'm not seeing what y'all are seeing, and it feels bad. Like I feel like there's something wrong with me.
Oh, there is, Julian. I mean, we've all established that.
Yeah. Thank you.
You're welcome. Anytime.
I feel like I enjoyed the battle system off the bat just because of the action elements, but I forget, there was like a boss, like it was a little trickier. I said I feel like I was 3 or 4 hours in, where I realized that I had the tools to like build a better party, and like I felt like the strategy elements were coming together in a better ways. I was starting to get a feel, because it takes a second to adjust to all the characters, because they're all quite unique in terms of their gimmicks.
I like that aspect.
Like kind of Octopathy, but he may probably even more so.
Probably more so, yeah.
So it's I give it time, because like even the battle system for me, I liked it off the bat, but I feel like it took 3 or 4 hours for it to fully click for me.
For it to really click, yeah. That's fair.
But yeah, all ex Ubisoft employees apparently, and yet the game has like 0 traces of anything Ubisoft, which I found interesting.
Other than a lot of French music.
Yeah, French. It's French for sure.
Yeah.
I
yes.
Super random point, but I realized that like the last 2 years in particular, I have had 2 French games in my top 10.
Damn French, I'm telling you, you got to watch out for them.
On a per capita basis, I feel like France might have the best game development out there. You know,
They're
like
doing it's either
well,
France
besides
or
Japan. Besides Japan.
Montreal, one of the two. It's
Yeah.
hard to say. Is this developer from France or are they from Montreal?
France.
France. Okay, they are actually French. God bless them.
Yeah. I mean, Japan's obviously number 1 per capita, but like
Yeah,
number 2, I think, is France. Maybe 3 is Canada, though.
right.
I think Canada is way up there for sure.
Canada's pretty up there.
Yeah.
But it's interesting because obviously Ubisoft is like one of the biggest names in town, and they, most of their studios are French, but like most of their games do not have like that French sensibility.
No,
because I remember when I played Beyond Good and Evil, which, I mean, to be fair, is a Ubisoft game. But I remembered playing that for the first time, and I was like, I can tell that this is like a French made game, and it's really cool that like I can tell that. Right. And Expedition 33 feels that way as well. It's really cool. And, maybe, I mean, Ubisoft has been doing just fine up until like the last like 2 years. So like, let's not pretend that like they're in like some dire situation or whatever, as much as like the news might paint it out to be that way. But it does make you wonder, like, I wonder why they haven't leaned more into like their like they're kind of baked in like artistic sensibilities and stuff like that, and maybe they feel that like they're going to be more successful with like something that is more like accessible.
Well, you see, Julian, they made Assassin's Creed Liberation, which was in France, and everybody hated it. So
there you go. Yeah,
got us no more French, no more France
and Michel Ancel left, so that he was like the Frenchest of the French.
Yep,
at that company.
We just can't do it.
Yeah. Justin, before I had some other stuff, but you seem like you have a story to tell.
Oh yeah, it's not super exciting. It's actually very depressing, and I'll apologize ahead of time. So and I'll glance over it quick. But the reason I haven't been able to get into really anything is I told a story a few weeks back now about some people that I work with, and they're good friends of mine. And one of them was having an issue where their husband basically had cancer and was kind of, not in a good way. And unfortunately, the payoff to that happened over the course of the week. So I've kind of been, through the whole process, been kind of acting as not a therapist to this for this person in a way. And I talked to him the day that it happened and all this other stuff, and so it's been kind of one of those things where I'm like, I need to do this more than play video games right now, and it's an unfortunate thing, but like hopefully I'm helping somehow. I feel like
I'm sure you are,
but yeah, it's been a heavy week. I'll put it like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the long and the short of it is like, unfortunately these things happen. Everything kind of with that whole thing. I mean, it was, when I told that story, it was pretty fresh, and then that
was fast.
Progressed really fast. Like really, it went from they're in the hospital to they're in hospice care. They have, weeks to days left to just probably some days to maybe hours to now they're gone.
Wow,
and it's like, oof. Yeah.
And so young too. That's
not super old. Yeah, no, they're going through a big life change right now, and it's a lot to process. So I'm just kind of their way to vent, and basically what I'm doing right now is just like video chatting with them for the most part, just so they have somewhere to, somebody to talk to, I guess, Good.
No, I'm glad that you're there for them like that. I don't know what I would have done when my mom was killed if I didn't have John Golson and my girlfriend at the time. Like, John was the first person on the scene.
Right.
like, and he started handling stuff that I wouldn't have even known to start handling.
Yeah.
Like he started making calls that like would not have even occurred to me. And like that was like just so important at the time.
Yeah. I'm not doing any of that. Like they unfortunately they have, you know, a family of the husband's family for the most part helping them with a lot of that stuff, but they are doing, you know, a lot of it just on their own, stuff that they never thought they were going to have to do. Shit that they've been doing, like, yeah, you know, I used to see, you know, funeral home commercials and, you know, make fun of them with them, and now here I am actually having to go to these places and set arrangements and all this stuff, and it's very different now.
Yeah, the funeral industry is really interesting, having worked in it for almost a decade.
That I believe, yeah.
I keep waiting for John Oliver to do a story on the funeral industry, specifically the funding company part of the funeral industry.
Oh, I can imagine.
You know, so I worked in funeral insurance, right? Pre-need insurance, which is like, you know, you plan basically while you're still alive, you know, you pay for your funeral ahead of time. That way, like, it's already taken care of, for one, but also the family knows what you wanted. So there's no guessing game, right?
Right.
I think that's very important. I think that's actually a very good thing.
For sure.
Like, I felt good about that part of it. But what a lot of funeral homes will do is that a lot of them don't seem to have a lot of cash on hand, like as a business. And so they'll go to what's known as a funding company, and the funding company will pay for like all of the stuff up front. And then the funding company will file with the insurance company to get the money.
Right.
And I never encountered a funding company that had anybody who seemed to be able to understand basic words.
Oh, good.
Let's say
that's always what you want.
Just like some of the worst people that I've ever dealt with, as far as like why is it that I've dealt with you specifically for about 100 of these claims, and yet every single time it's these same problems, and it's like we're doing this the first time every time. And the whole thing with funding companies always seemed so shady to me, and I'm waiting for like someone like John Oliver to like do an expose on them, because to me it's like, because sometimes a funeral home would be like filing with a funding company for like $600,
right?
And it's like you couldn't handle us like $600, like how are you still in business?
Who knows?
And also like the funeral industry, like as far as like the funeral home side of it, run by a lot of like people who probably should have retired 20 years ago.
That doesn't surprise me at all.
Yeah.
Somehow.
Very, very big about faxing things in the funeral industry. Let me tell you. That's the level of sophistication that they're at.
I found it entertaining that my friend wanted to use the ashes to plant a tree with. That was her request. That's what she wanted to do. And they were like, we'll have to get back to you on that. We don't know what to do with that information. And I was like, well, you have at least a unique request for him, I guess. I don't know. That's nice, I guess. But yeah, it's been a week, let me tell you. And
I believe it.
But you know, through the whole thing, I keep telling them this, they are handling it much better than I thought they would. Like they're doing great so far, given everything. You know, it definitely sad and, you know, depressing for what it is, but they're doing okay, all things considered, as well as one can be, really, when a dramatic thing like that happens. So there's definitely, you know, I think part of it is that when you're able to like brace for it because you see it coming, and there's also like at least a little bit of relief because at least they're not in pain anymore, right? Like there's an element of that where you know when it's an accident or unexpected, right? Like it just comes out of the blue, you know, firsthand through, because they've been off of work and stuff like that, and you know, going back and forth to the hospital, and you know, then the hospice thing happened, and then all this, and then but like I've gotten to see a lot of the stages of grief firsthand before, you know, anything has happened, you know, like, and it's been fascinating and, you know, sad at the same time. And normally, like, and I feel like very weird and scientific about a lot of it because I'm often the one pointing it out to them, like where I'm like, well, right now it seems like you're kind of in this phase a little bit, and that's totally understandable. Like that's natural. You're allowed to feel whatever you want to feel, and so it's very heavy. But yeah, video games have kind of taken a bit of a backseat. Like
I believe it.
Yeah, actually, honestly, stupid as it sounds, like the WWE game sometimes is great for processing all of this stuff. Or even while I'm talking, every now and then, I'm just like sitting there, like going through dumb options because I'm like I can focus on this and both things at the same time. It's A-okay. But yeah,
I mean that's we didn't, not so much on here, but like we definitely talked multiple times on Nerds Without Pants about using games to process stuff, right?
Absolutely.
Like Diablo 3 has gotten me through some shit
right
over the years.
Absolutely,
because that is very much my like I'm chewing on this very heavy subject in the back of my brain,
right?
But also these numbers are going up and making the other part of my brain go.
Yeah. But yeah, it's
good.
So that's hopefully I'm doing okay. I'm trying my best, and they're trying their best, and as I've said this so many times over the past couple of weeks to multiple people. God damn it, that's all we can do in this life is just try our fucking best. That's all we can do. But yeah.
It does tie in a little bit with Expedition 33, right? Because I think that game has a lot to say, even in the little bit that I've played so far, about processing grief and dealing with loss and stuff like that.
I was gonna say, Closer the Distance might have prepared me more for something like that, honestly, more than anything.
Yeah, definitely. Honestly, that was I've thought about that game a few times over the course of this entire thing. Not gonna lie. Yeah.
To move on to something a little bit cheerier, Westen, we were talking a little bit during the break, and I definitely wanted. I'm glad that it came up because I wanted to talk about it on the show. But you got a Steam Deck since the last time that we spoke.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I watched the Switch 2 reveal, and I bought a Steam Deck.
Is that what happened?
Fantastic. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think I've had a lot of reasons for not buying one. It's obviously been tempting, and not to shit too hard on Nintendo. Like I've had an OG Switch for 7 years.
Shit away.
Yeah, I've had the OG Switch for 7 years, right? So like you get a new system after that long, like technology's come a fair way. Like if I get a new phone after like 4 years, I notice some differences.
Yeah, right.
So, but yeah, I mean, I think the Switch 2 thing, I just realized like I don't need a day one. Like there's not much there. Like the Donkey Kong game, I think might be pretty good, but other than that, there's nothing exclusive. And then the other shit, I was like, and yeah, now that I have it, I'm like, man, I could have used this earlier. Like it just feels so good to play. Like I was thinking about this. Like I tried playing the Metroid Prime Remaster on my Switch, and it's just like, man, like just the way they handle triggers and shit, like just bugs me. Like it's just tough to play those kind of first person games on a Switch for me, at least portably. And I never invested in the Pro controller or whatever. And it's like, man, I could play a shooter on this. Like, and I'd feel good about it. Like, I feel good about how it feels. The screen feels great. Finally having the OLED, which that's another reason where I'm like, I mean, I might as well wait till the Switch 2 has an OLED version, because it's going to
sure,
right.
And then I mean, Steam Shop versus the eShop, a little difference there. In favor of Steam. Having a great time with like wish listing stuff, and my other logic was, man, all these games eventually come to console, right? Like for the most part, like there's not a lot of PC exclusive games, but now that I'm in the Steam Deck, I'm like, there's a few. There's more than you think.
There's a few little weirdo games out there that are just PC only. Yeah, for sure.
Like I mean, sometimes it's timed, but like last year, I had my eye on Nine Souls all year. It did finally come to console. Julian's talked about Bullet Mad Jack on here. That was on console early or PC early last year. It took like a year.
Yeah.
There's this game, Mini Shoot Adventures. I've had my eye on. I could play that now.
Right.
But even if it's Xbox for Steam Deck and it's like a more of an indie game, like I'm probably gonna buy it on Steam Deck because hell yeah, like I can play wherever I want. I made a joke about how the Steam Deck saved my marriage. Just like you kind of see that random shit. But actually, my wife has really enjoyed the Steam Deck because I've been playing portable more. So, I've been just like she'll watch some whatever, some shit that I don't care about.
Yeah.
But I'll just be hanging out playing with Steam Deck. She's like, "Oh, this is great." And I'm like, "Yeah, it is great actually." So,
yeah,
big fan of the Steam Deck. I think, and I think I think I thought to myself, there's no reason to own a Switch and a Steam Deck, but I think they can complement each other in some ways.
For sure.
So yeah, I'm really
Yeah.
happy with it. I think if you've been on the fence, I'd recommend it because I was very skeptical, but I'm enjoying it a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's funny, I'm glad I was thinking about this recently, and I'm glad that I'm actually being consistent in my views, because my hatred of the Switch is that I feel that it's a shitty underpowered console, but it's also a shitty portable because like the battery life is shit, and also it's playing the full on console games, and so we've lost like an entire echelon of game development from Nintendo. Like, I loved Nintendo's portables, right? I loved the original Game Boy, the Game Boy Advance, the DS, the 3DS, because like the development sensibilities were different, and the games were different, and
right.
A lot of times, like, I preferred what Nintendo was putting out on those portables than on their home consoles, and now it's one and the same, and so we lost that. And I realized after a while that like what I'm doing with my Steam Deck is kind of what I would have done with a Nintendo portable, which is that, because like I bought Elden Ring on my Steam Deck in that first week. It's like, oh, I want to see what Elden Ring looks like on a Steam Deck, but then I was like, I don't want to play this type of game on my Steam Deck. I'm using it for like smaller, like weirder games that are more akin to the type of level of development that I enjoyed on Nintendo's portables and porn, but but just smaller games. And so and also because of that, like, my Steam Deck lasts way longer on a charge than the Switch did, because I'm not taxing it very much. I'm not running like a lot of like graphically intensive games on this system. I am surprised by what is considered Steam Deck compatible, though, like with the green check mark. Like fucking Assassin's Creed Shadows is like green check mark on the Steam Deck, and I'm like, how? Like, that doesn't seem right.
Yeah.
But I guess games are scalable and stuff like that. But I'm still surprised at what ends up getting the green check on the Steam Deck. I end up playing like a lot of stuff that's like yellow, because mainly it's like, oh well, the font is like kind of small, and it's like, it's fine.
Yeah.
But for the most part, it's been perfectly workable.
Yeah, I learned a lesson about the yellow check though, because I bought a game called Keep Driving, which is like a Oregon Trail type game. Yeah. And the trackpad, it's kind of cool, but it's like I could not get all the way across the screen with it on this game.
Right.
And so I refunded it for now. I might end up, it looked pretty cool, but
I can imagine like really heavy mouse games kind of being a bit of a pain to do on that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Like if it's not 100% controller thing.
I bought so I played Koira on it, which reminds me of Neva, but it actually tackles its theme effectively. So you might like that better, Justin.
What's it called? How do you spell that? I've never heard of that.
Koira. The
Koira. Okay.
It's got those kind of same sensibilities as Neva, but the theme's tackled way better. It's a game about like a human dog relationship and what that means. And I think it, like I said, Neva was about like parenthood. It was ridiculous.
Sure, it was all over.
So it doesn't reach those like highs artistically or a couple gameplay highs, but it was a really cool experience. Great for Steam Deck, especially with that was the game too where I'm like deeper blacks. What does that mean? Like, I never really think about that. And I'm like, that game has some blacks. I was like, okay, I kind of see this. Promised Mascot Agency was awesome on there, and now I'm going to start this game Bionic Bay that's really well reviewed, and that is actually PC exclusive, at least currently. So, I'm getting my money's worth on it for sure.
Definitely, yeah. I'm definitely playing it a lot more than even I expected to, and like it's been nice, like like 100 line, right? Like that's a thing that normally I would have waited for it to eventually get ported to PlayStation, which will probably happen in like a year or something. But especially now that we're focused, we're not focused, but we are trying to do like a really nice like game of the year production. It's harder for me to play something that wasn't released this year. So like last year I bought Project Raincode, which is the last like Spike Chunsoft Chunsoft game from the same team. I haven't touched it yet though, because I was like, well, this isn't like it didn't come out this year, so like and I think actually No Sleep for Kaname Date, the new game, is actually a Switch exclusive, which is bumming me out. I thought that it was going to be on other stuff, but I don't think it is. At least not initially.
God, yeah. All right.
And I want to play it.
We might put that one off for a little bit then, yeah.
It's good. Yeah, it's gonna be. I mean, I got a couple games left to play on the Switch, before it, and it's like I'm not really looking forward to going back to it. And it's like I have one Joy-Con, like I replaced one, and now the other one's like kind of just a little loose now, and it's like fuck, the screen. I'm not, and then just the feel of the controls and all that. So, but yeah, Steam Deck, great purchase. Really enjoying it.
Yeah, for sure. Also curious, I mean, I got the deets from like some of our people in Discord, but if you're not on the Discord, reach out and let us know, if you were successful in getting your Switch 2 this week. I'm curious. It seems like it wasn't a total clusterfuck, but at the same time, it was also, not great. Like I think we are now like a solid like 15 years away from just like the days when you could just say like, oh yes, I would like to pre-order that, and they were like, there you go, there's your pre-order. You will get it on this date, and you were like, thank you, I will pick it up on that date. And it's like that doesn't happen anymore.
Yeah,
it kind of sucks. Well, I finally finished a 2025 release this week, and I'm very proud.
Congrats.
That one, that I did it, and two, that it was such a great game. And three, that I got it done literally like the day before Expedition 33 came out, so I was like kind of free and clear.
Perfect.
But I finished South of Midnight.
Oh yeah.
Which was like just right. Like right as I was starting to get a little worn out on like the combat and traversal, the game was wrapping up, and I was like, that's great.
Perfect.
Yeah. Just right. I will say I've noticed this with like a lot of the stuff that I've played on Game Pass that isn't like the big AAA stuff. It feels that like the longer that I play some of these games, like the more they start to fall apart. Like as I get towards the end, like I definitely ran into some bugs like towards the end where I was like, oh no, am I fucked? And no, I just needed a reload. But that happened a couple times, and like that happened to me a lot with Harold Halibut, especially like towards the back half of the game, where I was like, this thing is like hard crashing on me like left and right, and or it's just stuff isn't loading in right and stuff like that. Still Wakes the Deep, similar thing, and it feels like it kind of reminds me of the I learned this with the PS3 version of Skyrim, the term data, what was it, like data leak,
memory
leak, yeah. And I wonder if it's a thing like that where it's like the longer you play, like there's like stuff building up on the back end that is like weighing the game down, and then it finally just like breaks.
Memory leak is usually it depends. Memory leak is usually not so much like from like the start of the when you start the whole game, right? Like it's when you start the game individually. So you start it up, even if you're midway through, however many hours you're playing, it will slowly get worse because like some of the code doesn't go away, so it just continues to build and build and build, and then fucking dies on you. Yeah.
And see, I'm one of those people who maintains multiple saves because I played Final Fantasy Tactics on the PlayStation 1.
Save bloat's a big thing.
Yeah, so I'm wondering if I'm doing it to myself because of that.
I doubt it, because all that stuff should be individualized, I think. Yeah, like each save's its own thing, at least it should be. So you shouldn't, I don't know, it might just be you're just running into some weird bugs, man. Hard to say.
And again, a lot of these are like smaller games, right? This isn't happening to me with like Halo Infinite or Forza Motorsport 5, right? But really thoroughly enjoyed South of Midnight.
Cool.
My Buffy the Vampire Slayer comparisons continue, to the point that there is a moment in that game that is 100% the Once More with Feeling of South of Midnight. And for those who don't know from Buffy, Once More with Feeling is a musical episode. And there's like a part where, and it's like really cool the way it happens. And it's kind of a similar thing where you encounter like an entity that kind of compels you to sing and dance.
That kind of makes sense given what I've seen of it. I could definitely see that fitting right in there. So yeah,
for sure. It's got some really interesting stuff where because like Hazel, she's a weaver, but part of that is she sees like the haints and like the kind of the monstrous side of the world all of a sudden. But the cool thing is that like the deeper you get, like not everything that's monstrous is a monster, and not everything that is, you know, altruistic on the outside is, you know, a human, right? I do have to pull back one thing though, is that like as a character she does kind of like end up falling for some shit that I wish she hadn't. Like I thought that like it was understood that this, you know, that we were on the same page that this is a bad person, but no, she actually got kind of surprised, and I was like, okay. I'm a little disappointed in that. The game ended in such a way where I was like, fuck, I want a sequel. I want a like Hazel the Weaver television show. I want a movie. Like I want an animated series. Like I am into this character. I am into this setting. It does some really cool stuff. It was really neat to see, like, because in the credits like one of the producers was Ahmed Best, and I was like, Ahmed Best, why does that name sound so familiar? And I looked him up, and it's like, oh, that was Jar Jar Binks, like the guy who performed Jar Jar Binks. He's like the lead vocal director on the game, and he also plays Rue, who is like one of the main antagonists of the game, and does a bang up job. So nice. That was really cool to see. Can't recommend it enough. You know, again, it's on Game Pass, so like if you're on Game Pass, there's really no excuse. But even if you're not on Game Pass, like it's like a $40 game. It's about 10 hours or so, which is like kind of perfect length, and it says what it needs to say. It does what it needs to do. And you know, I hope that they get to do more. I hope that this is the beginning of a series, even if it's not like, even if that series doesn't continue in video game form, if somehow this turns into a show or something, I will be fighting hard for Hazel Flood for character at Game of the Year, because I think she's just phenomenal. And that dovetails really well into a movie that I saw over the weekend. Okay. Which is Ryan Coogler's Sinners, starring Michael B. Jordan and Michael B. Jordan as twin brothers. Okay. Which I think is actually a really awesome, like it could be set very well as a prequel to South of Midnight. This takes place in like the early 30s in I want to say, was this Oklahoma? Forget what state it's in. It's in the South. But it's basically, you know, these two twin brothers who had been living in Chicago for a while. Apparently they were working for Capone, and they come back. They're known as the Smokestack twins. And one of them goes by Smoke, one of them goes by Stack. That's obviously not their given names, but it's kind of a really cool like name for a character, and also like, you know, it's one of those great storytelling moments where it's like one of them will be like, "You heard of Smokestack twins?" And they're like, "Yeah." And they're like, "I'm one of them." And they're like, "Oh shit!" Like, you know, it's like you kind of know that they were a big deal, even if they've been gone for a long time. It's like the reputation precedes them. Yeah. I don't want to get really deep into the movie, because I think it's just something that you should experience. All I'll say is that, you know, it's set during the early 30s. You've got these guys who are like, you know, former gangsters who made it big in Chicago, come back home. They want to open a juke joint, and it's kind of them setting up for their first night of business and kind of getting the word out. And then vampires show up. Okay, why not? And it's a really cool, like, it's a really fucking cool, like, horror / action movie. Okay. With some great performances. Once again, you know, like I said with South of Midnight, definitely feeling that, like, I wish that I had more of like the cultural experience in my lifetime to really like experience this the way that it's obviously meant to. Like as I was watching it, I was like, this is important. Like I can tell this movie is important. And Justin, there is this one scene. If people have seen the movie, they know, but there is this moment, because there's a concept in here. It's kind of like the Weaver in South of Midnight, but there's a concept like in this movie about people who are so in tune with music that they can kind of heal the soul, but also because of their music, it invites darker elements because they're drawn to the call.
Sure.
And there's a part where one of those musicians performs. The whole sequence is like it's like the musical culture of like the Black experience, past, present, and future to that point. And it's done in such a fucking awesome way. And I was like,
cool.
This is something special. Like, it is a fantastic movie.
Cool.
I cannot recommend it enough. You know, I've liked, obviously he did the 2 Black Panther movies. Those were great.
Yeah.
He did the first Creed movie, which I also love. I'm a big fan of Michael B. Jordan, also going all the way back to Chronicle, which I think might be his first movie. It's felt like a found footage movie where it's like, what if like some teenagers like got superpowers because they encounter this like weird alien artifact, but it's all found footage.
Yeah.
So, but that was a really cool movie, and ever since then I've just been like a big fan of his, and like he does a really good job playing 2 characters in this one.
Nice.
So
that's cool.
Very, very, very well recommended.
Yeah. Awesome.
But that's all I've got, like, kind of game wise. I've got one last thing that I wanted to talk about, but did y'all have anything that you wanted to hit up before we kind of start to taper off?
No, I'm personally good. So
I'm good as well.
Okay. Well, this has been, I've been waiting all month to talk about this, mainly because like I don't want to, you know, I don't want to belabor the point, because, you know, I know like not everybody in the audience, or most people in the audience, are not Hololive fans or interested in Hololive, but I'm like, but fuck it, it's our show and we do what we want.
So the timestamps are
like,
for
and that's what timestamps are for.
Yeah.
But also like, you know, we made this show to talk about the stuff that we want to talk about, you know, and when we want to talk about it, right? Like we have other interests besides video games, although Hololive is very video game adjacent, because they're a bunch of streamers. But at the beginning of the month, it was announced that Nanashi Mumei, one of the members of the second English generation of Hololive, would be graduating, which means leaving the company, leaving the character. And there had already been, like, you know, multiple graduations last year. I mentioned a couple of them, but those, you know, I'm a relatively newcomer to this world. I really started watching Hololive about this time last year. I remember because, well, I forgot what game it was, but like there was like an anniversary stream of something. I was like, oh right, I remember them playing that last year, and that, so that it's been about a year. But so those didn't really affect me all that much, other than I was like, oh man, like it kind of sucks. Like it feels like I found this thing, I really like this thing, and like people are leaving left and right all of a sudden. And I'm like, what's happening?
Yeah.
And you know, like I definitely saw like a lot of the outpour of sentiment from like the actual individual fans of these streamers, like really like, you know, broken up about it, right? With good reason. But Mumei graduating that's a big one for me, because she's one of my favorites. She's been one of my favorites since I started watching.
Okay.
So if you're listening to this as a patron, the day that this episode comes out for patrons is going to be her last stream. So I will probably be watching that evening and bawling my eyes out, because like she's like just a really like fun personality that I've watched a lot of her streams. I've watched a lot of her like collaborations with other Hololive members. I love her singing voice. Like I've got, you know, her 2 original songs, or 3 original songs. And like they've been on like a good like loop in my playlist for the last few months. But then, you know, I was like, well, I'll wait and I'll talk about it like right before the graduation happens, because then I can just, you know, talk about it then. But then about a week ago, Gargura, who is not only like from the first gen of English Hololive, but quite possibly the biggest VTuber in the world, announced that she was graduating. And she's actually going to be gone May 1st. Like she made the announcement, and she's like, I'm pretty much done. And like, she's barely done anything since the announcement. She's done like a couple streams, but like Mumei has been streaming like up to 3 times a day, like since.
Right.
But the issue, like, so everybody who has announced that they're leaving Hololive since I started watching, they've all cited disagreement with management and company direction.
I see.
But Mumei also said that for the last 2 years, she has been dealing with chronic illness that specifically that affects her vocal cords and her lungs.
Oh yeah.
And so she's had like chronic health issues that it's a bunch of stuff, right? So it's like you've got the tried old or you know the old cliche of doctors not listening to women that have health problems, right?
Yeah.
So like she's been constantly getting the runaround on these issues. But then you also have a company who's like, but we need you to record this song and we need you to like perform this concert and all of this stuff where, you know, she has not really been able to do that. And she had expressed like some frustration with that like a few months ago. You know, she kind of talked about her health issues, but I guess it just got to the point where it was too much. And the Hololive stuff I've compared a lot to wrestling.
Sure.
And I feel it more and more. And Justin, you can probably relate to this. Weston, I don't know if you've ever followed wrestling all that much, but there was a time when Shawn Michaels had been like away from wrestling for a really long time with a back injury.
He lost his smile, Julian.
He lost his smile also. Yes,
Yeah.
that is very true.
Yeah.
But eventually he came back, and his first like pay-per-view match was like like an unsanctioned like street fight with Triple H, where it was like, you know, no rules, no holds barred, and it was like an extremely physical match. And like the whole time I was like, don't do this. Like, you're
pretty good match actually.
It was a very good match,
especially because of that element. Yeah.
Yeah. And he ended up like having like a really solid career. Like he went for a long time after that. But
he had a great second run actually.
Yeah. But in the back of my mind, the whole time I was like, dude, but I know that this guy's messed up, right? And I it's probably a similar thing to, I think, modern fans now with like Daniel Bryan, where like, you know, he left WWE because he was not cleared to wrestle anymore.
Right.
And then he went to a company that cleared him to wrestle, and people were like, yo, what the fuck, man? Yeah. Like, don't do this. Like, we actually care about your health. It would be nice if you didn't paralyze yourself in this ring.
Right.
And it's been that way for me with Mumei's, you know, final streams, where it's like, I kind of can't watch them because it's like in the back of my head, I'm just like, you shouldn't be talking this much.
Right.
And you'll hear it, right? Like she'll lose her voice, or like she'll be coughing, or you know, she'd be like, have to cancel a stream. You know, she did one stream where she just didn't talk, where she was just, I think, drawing or something like that, but because she couldn't talk.
Yeah.
But you can tell that she's been trying to do like as much as possible,
right?
But before she goes, the Gura situation is super interesting, and I'll put it to you like this, Justin.
Okay.
Because here's the thing about it, right? It's sad because, you know, you form an attachment to these personalities.
Sure.
But because the company owns the character, even if they pop up later on with like a new gimmick, it's not the same, and they can't go back. They can't like work with those people anymore, right? So imagine if The Rock left WWE at the height of his career in the Attitude Era, like when he was red hot.
Yeah.
Right. And he eventually pops up on the indie circuit as like a masked wrestler with a new name. And people know that he used to be The Rock.
Yeah.
But he can't acknowledge that he was ever The Rock.
Right.
He can't do an interview about being The Rock. And he never set foot in a WWE ring ever again for the rest of his career. Right.
Yeah.
And he never worked with any of those wrestlers ever again because he couldn't. Right. That's the Gura situation, where it's like the biggest VTuber in the world, you know, like she fucking sang "Take Me Out to the Ball Game" at the Dodger Stadium last summer.
Oh, right. Yeah, it was a big deal. Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. You know, she's leaving, and it's pretty much guaranteed that she's just going to pop up as another VTuber, because she was a VTuber before this, and she, like, that VTuber, which is her, tweeted like days before the graduation announcement it was just like a picture of a blue fish, and it was like, oh, okay, like you're just coming back as this other persona.
Yeah.
Does Hololive own these or something? These
probably. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
It is very similar to pro wrestling in that aspect, because WWE will like often you'll be one name on like the indie circuit, right? But then you get signed. They'll give you a different name because they can trademark that name. Yeah. And then they'll let you, do whatever with it. Sometimes the name is so big that they can't, fuck with you on it and take it away. But a lot of the times with like, up and comers and stuff like that, they'll give you a new name. Then they make that name. If that name gets popular, then they own it. They make all the money off of that. But if you get released or you leave or whatever, now you got to change your name again. And now in pro wrestling, it's a little different because you obviously can see that person's face. That's that guy. He's doing the same bit. It's a lot different. But here I do get it because it's like, oh yeah, no, I could see them losing a lot from, them not being able to, use the same character or whatever.
Yeah, because like, that design, that gimmick, like that lore, like everything that they've built up over that time, that's gone.
Yeah.
And but more importantly, it means that they can't work with those people again, right? So like when Amelia Watson graduated last year, she did something that had not been done before, which is that she decided to stay on as an affiliate, which means that she did go off and become like another VTuber, and she's been doing her own thing on the indies. But literally this past Sunday, she appeared in a concert, like an Easter concert with, some of the other members. It was like her first appearance, since she had left in September. It was a big deal, right? But like in Gura's case and in Mumei's case, they're both just leaving, right? So they will never get to work with these talents again. And that obviously like they can maintain the friendships and, so... And they make a big point of that when they're saying goodbye. It's like, well, you can, we'll still talk to each other, but the fans aren't going to get to see us interact anymore. Right. So like, and so there, there's been a lot of like really sad, like, oh, like collaborations with Mumei where they'll get towards the end. It's like, oh shit, this is the last one.
Yeah.
And it's just like, oh man, like that's rough.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. It's, I guess, taking it to video games, right? Like, it's sort of like if I had gotten into Giant Bomb and with the OG crowd, but like a year before before everybody left, right?
Right.
And been like, man, I really love these guys. And then it's like, oh, they're gone.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, shit, man. Like I just got here and like, I can go back, but it's like and I have gone back. Like I've watched like a lot of clips and things of like older streams and kind of get like, a little bit of the context for things. And it's like, man, this was a really big deal. And I wish that I had been there to see like a lot of this stuff, like when it happened. Cause I've likened Myth as a like pop group, very similar to like the Beatles in the sense that like they were kind of the first ones in America to do this. Right. But I do think that that's probably a big problem and a reason why a lot of people are leaving is that like a lot of these girls just wanted to stream some goddamn video games.
Yeah.
And I don't think they were really interested in being pop idols in the Japanese sense. Right. And because it is a Japanese company, like it's like, yeah, so a lot of those live performances are travel to Japan and rehearse the shit out of these dance moves and these songs and then, perform in Japan. And it's like, but I'm a super introverted gamer girl.
What an interesting fucking way around the Japanese idol industry culture too. Because that is an industry that is fascinating. And kind of a not great way sometimes where like, fans are like you are not allowed to date and do all this other stuff because like it's a whole fucking thing in that because So what a interesting way. Well, what if we don't actually show their faces or what they look like or anything like that? Now you kind of work around it because now
you kind of work around it, but it still shows its ugly head. So like,
yeah, right.
Shiori, who is from Hololive Advent, recently did a couple streams with because Hololive does have like male talent. They're not called Hololive, they're called Hollow Stars.
Sure, yeah.
But she did some streams with like one of the Hollow Stars, and she got like some shit for it because she, it's like, oh, you're no, like we don't want to see you like streaming with a guy, and it's like, fuck off,
that's
man.
That
like,
culture, it's so wild. Yeah, and yeah, you still can't avoid it. But yeah, no, of course you don't want. Yeah, in exactly what you said, it's like they just want to stream some video games or maybe have a song here and there or whatever. But like, I don't know.
Yeah,
probably not be a part of that, and I imagine their thought process was exactly like mine, where it's like, oh yeah, no, that'll be really fun, but then the Japanese idol industry fucking rears its ugly head, and here we are.
Yeah. So I have a feeling that most of the first two generations, Myth and Promise, are probably going to end up gone within the next year or two. Mm-hmm. But I think everybody after that is probably pretty set, because I think they kind of had a better understanding of what the job was before they auditioned.
I imagine getting into it now, you know exactly what you're trying to do, and that's a thing you want to do.
Exactly.
So yeah, it's hard to say, but yeah.
But yeah, it's been pretty emotional. Mumei is the one that's like the really like gut punch for me, because I've been a really big fan of hers. I put together like a little tribute to her that I'm going to run at the end of the show, so it's going to be after the final theme song. So it's, if you don't want to hear it, don't worry, it's not going to like rear its head in the main part of the show. But I wanted to do something. I'm also going to like actually release it as a standalone video on our YouTube channel, because I wanted to do something, because she's like meant so much to me. Gura, I just kind of appreciate. She's kind of how I fell into Hololive.
Okay.
Because I saw an animated clip of her and Mori Calliope.
What's it like having cleavage?
Tough on your back.
That's what I hear.
Yeah.
That's what I hear.
But last time I said that in front of like Ollie and Lucia, they didn't like it very much. They got very angry at me. So I stopped telling them what it was like.
Oh no. You can indulge with me. I don't know what it's like, and I would like to know. I've actually one of my like, I've always wondered what it was like to have boobs that touched. I don't know what it's like.
And I was like, that was funny. Who are these people? And then like another animated clip of Gura showed up, and I was like, okay, this is a personality. I don't know who this is or what this is, but I like her. And so then that's how I kind of fell down what we call the rabbit hole.
Yeah.
Where I was like, okay, now I understand that, she's this, because I knew what a VTuber was. I didn't know she was a VTuber. And so for the most part with Gura, I've mainly just seen like clips here and there, and then occasionally like she would, because she's been very sporadic on streaming since I've been watching. Like she would go like months and months without doing anything. And I feel bad for her really hardcore fans, because like I said, she made this announcement, which I don't think people were surprised that it came, but they still didn't want it to happen. And then kind of radio silence, like no streams, and it's like, shit, man, that sucks. But she released a song. Like the lyrics are written by Casey Edwards, who did like a bunch of the Devil May Cry songs.
Okay.
But because she's a huge Devil May Cry fan.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
But she said that the way that it came about is that she kind of trauma dumped to him over the course of some meetings, and let him know like all the stuff that she's been dealing with.
Yeah.
And she released what I would consider to, how like anytime there's like a pop star that starts off really young, there's always that song or that album that's like, hey, I'm grown up now. I don't want you to look at me like a little kid anymore. Like, I'm my own person, right?
Yeah. What's her name? Not Hannah Montana. What the fuck is
Miley
the girl?
Cyrus.
And Miley Cyrus comes to mind.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, Dirty from Christina Aguilera.
Yeah, right.
Like,
yeah, exactly.
You could make a case for the entire album of Bad by Michael Jackson.
For sure. Yeah.
I would say that this song called Ash Again might be the best version of that, of like a very personal song, even though she didn't write the lyrics. Like, like you can tell that like he conveyed everything that she was trying to say or wanting to say, and being like a very mature song. And it is one of the most hauntingly beautiful pieces in that aspect that I've ever heard. And I'm going to have the link to it in the show notes. I would say if you never watch anything from Hololive ever, at least watch this music video. Just be aware, because it's only available in music video. I think probably Hololive doesn't want to sell a song that's kind of her saying, hey, fuck you guys, I'm out.
Yeah.
Because that's basically the gist of the song. But just know that in the music video, when she's drowning, it's Myth. It's her band that saves her, and it's I think everybody, I've seen people react to it. I've watched this thing like 15 times now. I haven't been able to watch it without tears in my eyes because it's just like that emotional. But it is just a phenomenal music video and piece of music, and her singing is like the best that she's ever done. You get attached to personalities, right? Like
absolutely.
I get attached to like podcasters that I've listened to for years and years, even the ones that I don't necessarily know a lot about their personal lives, right?
Right.
And Hololive in particular, like they will. It's kind of a funny thing because they'll kind of stick to their lore a lot, especially for like their first year, and then you start to get more of like the real person, and then it is what it is, and I think people prefer it when it's more authentic and they're just kind of being themselves. But of course, like Hololive is like a corporation, and there's a big premium on like, maybe we don't cuss as much as like when they first started out, or maybe we don't tell these dirty jokes that we want to tell because there might be kids watching. The mileage varies depending on which streamer it is.
Right.
I told Addie, I was like, I think you would like Narissa Ravencroft because like she like, and I've sent her a few clips and she's enjoyed them because Narissa is like just horny on main in a way that like the rest of the talent is not. And it's some pretty fun stuff. But I feel bad for like the really hardcore fans. It's going to be sad to see Mumei go in, particularly for me.
Yeah.
But it also just feels like I just got here and it's like, oh, but the end, this golden era is over, and like,
right.
we're scrambling and everybody's leaving, and fuck, man, like they introduced a whole new unit last year of four girls, and now it's like they've lost 4 girls since then. So it's like a like a zero-sum game at this point. So maybe there'll be some new people that they view this year like another unit. But yeah, it just kind of sucks. And that's all I have to say about that. Justin, what time is it?
Oh, hold on. It's that time.
Yeah, it is Scotster Now.
It is Scotster Day.
I had to do something to bring Westen back because his eyes had completely glazed over.
You'll
he
have
was
that.
like,
yeah, my biggest fear was that you throw out big dumb quiz right after that and quiz me on what you just said. But it was actually more interesting than I thought. But it is 12:10 here a.m. So it's late.
Yeah.
You're doing great, Westen. We're all very proud.
Yeah,
that was my first time listening to a Hololive segment. So because I usually skip them. And it was actually more compelling than I expected.
Yeah. At the end of the day, they're video game streamers. And I guess one last thing I'll say is that like they got me to understand streaming because I was never a big fan of streaming. Like Giant Bomb, I guess I would consider a different thing because like their quick looks would just be like kind of them off camera talking while they were playing the games. And I was like, okay, no, I kind of get that. But as far as like watching someone like play a video game, from beginning to end, like I had never really like mesh with that. And then when I would see shit like Markiplier or Jacksepticeye, like just the over the top like reactions just really bother me. But when it's an anime girl, like that makes a lot more sense because it's like, okay, yeah, like I've watched a lot of anime. People react like over the top in anime.
Sure.
So like when I hear like Gigi Murin like lose her goddamn mind because she's playing a horror game and she's a total coward like Justin, like that rings a lot more authentic than like Markiplier doing whatever the fuck he does when he plays a horror game that just like makes me want to die. Yeah. It's just like a very different dynamic. And I think part of that is the presentation.
Sure.
I had some stuff saved for questions, comments, questions, and concerns, but we've gone a little long and it is a little late and Weston had like a long day yesterday. So I think we will table those for next week.
That sounds good.
Thus concludes the month of back-to-back guests. I will be booking some more guests, but like we're going to chill for a little bit and kind of get back to some. So I know Richard Harden has told me that he wanted to interview some of the staff for his case. So
Sure.
need to give him some space to do that, and it's easier for him when there aren't guests that he has to watch out for and stuff like that. So he'll appreciate that. Westen, thank you so much for joining us.
That was a great time, guys.
Yeah,
Great
as
to be back.
always.
Always happy to have you. Anything that you would like to plug before we start to get out of here?
Just BigNerdGaming.com. Still going strong. Two times a week. Still on
Hell yeah.
all the social media platforms. So check me out.
Hell yeah.
Absolutely. Oh man, I forgot to make my joke.
What was your joke?
Oh, when we were talking about Clair Obscure, I was going to say that Expedition 69 probably didn't get any shit done.
So that's actually one of the first expeditions that they talk about. I think it was the climbing expedition, funny enough. Because that's what, real quick, that's one of I love the random lore, because there's like a journal entry for each of the expeditions that you can
Interesting.
find.
Cool.
And and all the rest points have a flag, there's like one of the expeditions. So it's kind of cool throwbacks, so I like the way they intersperse that.
Yeah.
Good.
You can find us on the internet. Westen, where would you like them to look for you on the socials and shit? Besides Big Nerd Gaming, I will have the link for the blog in the show notes as well.
Yeah, Twitter. I'm on Twitter, Threads, and Blue Sky, but I post mostly on Blue Sky.
And you're under is it
Big Nerd Gaming?
Big Nerd Gaming.
Yeah.
Excellent.
There you go.
Justin?
You can find me on twitch.tv/TyroneSwift doing, I don't know what. Sometimes playing Dead or Alive 6 story mode because it's nonsense, that just tickled me for some reason. It's so bad. It's so bad. It's great. They're just like, they're just like having minor disagreements and then just full on fighting about it. I'm just
great.
like, what is this is amazing. I love it. Anyway,
where does it fall on the George Thorogood scale?
Oh, it's probably, oh man, it's probably this.
Bad.
It's probably that. It's probably that.
Yeah.
But stupid. So maybe somewhere in between. Maybe it's like a bubad, Okay, it's but anyway. Also you can find me at Tyrone Swift TV making YouTube videos. Sometimes I post dumb WWE shit on there too, where I make George Thorogood. You can look at him. There he is.
Came out really good, by the way. I watched
it looks like George Thorogood. I know. It's I'm getting good at it sometimes.
Thorogood at it even.
Yes. Thoroughly good, some might say. Yeah. Anyway, where can people find you, Julian?
Justin hated that. I could see it popped up on the screen. It was really nice.
Yeah.
You can find me mainly on Blue Sky. Just search for Julian Titus. I'm on Twitter still at Julian_Titus, but not really all that often. And I'm mostly like reposting or retweeting Hololive shit on that account. Thanks as always to the wonderful Megan McDuffie for our theme song and interstitial tracks. Thanks to friend of the show, John Golson, for being our announcer and providing us with our artwork. Although this week I have something different. I have something different planned for the show artwork, but we'll see if I get it to work, because sometimes changing show artwork is a little difficult. They're very specific on like dimensions and file size, and sometimes it's hard to get that to work.
Yeah, sometimes that is a thing for sure.
Yeah. But hopefully I've got it working the way it is, and you'll be like, oh, I hadn't noticed. And you'll look at your phone. It's like, oh shit, yeah, that is a different logo. It's like, yeah. But that's going to do it for this episode of the Stage Select. I've been Julian Titus. He's been Justin Ham. Special thanks to Westen of Big Nerd Gaming. We've been the Stage Select. Signing off.
Uh-huh.
The Stage Select is copyrighted and owned by Space Monkey Mafia Productions, specializing in independent podcasting. Please consider sharing the show with your friends and support us by joining our Patreon or donating to our coffee. Thank you, and good night.
Oh, hi. This is Mumei. It looks like I missed your call. No, I want you to mean it.
I do mean it. How do I mean
No.
more from this?
That's just what you think that's what I want to hear.
What am I supposed to do here?
You're supposed to know. Why don't you know?
Please leave your name, number, favorite genre of music. When I was with Callie and Ina, I said something, and Callie thought it was you, and then when I heard it over, I thought it sounded like you too, and then I got really self-conscious. I think it's because I said it with like a twang. I have a twang. What do you mean? No, like so. Okay, sometimes you do. What kind of twang? Twang. I said like what did I say? I said like American Angus beef. Does that sound like you? American Angus beef. Angus beef. We should try and sound like each other for the next few minutes. Okay. Wait. Say something. Wait. Say something. Stop. Wait. Do it again. Mumei? Shoe size, social security, greatest fears. The next thing that enrages me is people who are too lazy to return the grocery cart. You had the energy. Go into the store, collect your groceries, and push it out. Trolley, cart, whatever the heck you want to call it. But you had the energy, the strength to do all that. And you cannot return an empty cart. Not only that, not just leaving it to the side, leaving it in a random spot. Not just that, leaving it in a parking spot. What is wrong with you? Weaknesses, medical history, and where you found the audacity to contact me.
Mumei, I hope you had fun.
I never have fun. I hate fun.
But
So
you did
cool
so
about
good. Like you were getting better with each round. I'm not crony. I'm not crony. I am not crony.
Stop!
Moveske.
Worse! Wait, actually, can you keep making me mad? Is it helping?
I think it's helping actually. You're progressing. Your anger fuels you.
Don't say that!
You have been getting better and better. Like this is the best that you've gotten so far. And it's
Mad! You're patronizing me! Feel it. Feel the anger deep in your soul, Moomsuke. Can you tell me that I'm awful?
you're awful.
No, not you.
You're amazing.
No, Crony.
You're doing so good.
Crony.
I'm so surprised that you've gotten this far.
Crony!
I wouldn't have been able to get that far.
Yeah.
And here you are.
I will be getting back to you, but not by phone. Or did you put the Did you be the boo? Did you boo well? Did you bee boo well? Did you do a good bee boo? Thank you. Have a great day, and make sure you look both ways when you cross the street.